Good morning. All right, let's see who's going to get here so I can let you in. Hello. There's my roster. Hmm. Wow. Hi, Rebecca. I am just now noticing what you wrote to me. I cannot believe I made that mistake. Now I was wondering why people weren't here. So now I hope people ignored me. Here comes Kristen, and let me send it to everyone.
Yeah, it was on my calendar in the morning, so that's why I was like, "Oh no, did I mess up?" I was like,
Jesus, I
"No."
cannot believe. Hi, Kristen. I got the wrong timing on the at 9 a.m.
They'll just look at, "Oh, this is the link," and let me hit the link.
I hope so. All right, I'm sending an email out again. I apologize.
I don't understand what the mistake was. Our class is at 9.
Email says the class starts at 1:30 p.m. and
Oh,
most people should know it's at 9, but what if, right?
yeah, that's true. Well, I'm going to try and figure out how to change my name.
I just got my tea delivered. Um, let me
Um, on the little right corner top, there's three dots when you move your mouse up there, and one of the options is to rename.
So I'm over there. I'm on an iPad and things are always a little different.
oh, they are. Yeah, I don't know.
I would think meeting settings would do it, but anyway, so I just have to poke around.
Things would do it for the long run, which is better. Uh,
Right, right. So I tried to do it before I actually logged into this, thinking I could just always have not do it for each one.
all right, here comes Amberly. Okay. I think most people know, but just in case, I'm sending an email out again because that was
Yeah, no, you take good care of us. Sending an email for each class, like I think
there.
above and beyond.
All right. Well, I figured it was the best way to get people. I mean, I would start getting all these emails in the morning. How do I get in? I don't remember how to get, where's the link? It's like,
Wow.
with even just 5 of those per class,
Yeah.
it's like individual emails, finding the link each time. So I'm like, okay, I'm just sending an email to everyone. Hi, Christina. Hi, Amberly. Hi, Kristen. And hi, Rebecca. Thanks for showing up, even though my email said that the class started at 1:30, which I hope you forgot or you ignored, but you did because you're here. Um, but anyway, so Christina, remind me your last name. I'll put your last name in there. Kristen, sorry, not Christina. And Christina.
Uh, yeah. Okay. Oh, I
I'll
found
do
it.
it.
Watch this.
Okay, and then Christina, do you remember how to put in your last name, Ramirez, onto the
I'm doing it right now.
okay, perfect. Um, there we go. And you did it. Now, Kristen, did you do it at a temporary basis or did it on the settings?
I think it's just going to be,
You'll have to do it each time.
I won't know until next week. But
That's fine. Well, if you just did it the little rename thing, the rename is temporary, but you said you were going into the settings, so that's why if you're doing it in the settings,
right,
that might
I
be more.
can't find it in there.
Oh, okay, then who knows? All right. So for those of you who don't do it in the settings, the rename has to be done each time. All right, and let's not forget to go into the chat and give a little hello, hey ho, good morning, or whatever other greeting you want to say. Okay, your computer audio isn't be working. You'll respond through chat and reactions. Okay, awesome. Perfect. So it's your computer audio in general that's having issues or on Zoom? Like is Zoom the problem or you just haven't been having audio at all? I don't know why I'm asking them. Your computer's old. Yeah, I know. Do we not all have that? I am considering investing in a new one. Right now, the one I'm working on is the school's computer, but my personal one is from 2015. It's really powerful, souped up RAM, everything. But ultimately age, 10 years. That's like it's beyond ancient. It's a survivor. Anyway, all right. So I think I need so there's someone else who won't be I just got a message about who won't be coming in today, but other than that, everyone else should be slowly popping in. All right. So, okay.
Deanna,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get onto my second computer, but the Zoom is having some issues.
As
Just to
in,
let you know,
what's it saying or what's it doing?
it's just circling,
Oh.
loading, circling.
Okay. Well, keep working on that. Meanwhile, just as a reminder, who is on VDI here, if anyone? And who has their own apps? I really, for some reason, I'm drawing a blank. Amberly and Christina. I know that Kristen is on VDI. I do remember that. But Amberly and Christina, are you guys on VDI or do you have your own applications?
I'm not on VDI.
You're not on VDI. And Amberly, if you can, yes, on VDI. Okay, so Amberly and Kristen are on VDI. Good. Now, both of you guys, let me know if things are working, okay? If anything isn't working. I think Amberly, you were the one who was able to make it work pretty successfully after you got onto Google Drive. Just let me know if anything is weird. And Kristen, your Google Drive was working last week, and Amberly having issues the first day, but by the second day, they had figured it out for you, right? So, and then someone else, but I guess they're not here yet, was having some issues with that. Okay. Now, our class is very small. I have very few responses on the posts. Like Amber, here, let me share with you guys the digital sign techniques Padlet, and let me give you guys the link to get there. Copy the link, put it in the chat. Okay, so I'm putting the link in the chat. All right, so please head over to the Padlet and make I'm gonna open the chat more visible since Amber's gonna be responding on that. I need to see it more. Usually it's a bit more hidden. Okay. So here we go. Hi, Moni.
Good morning. Just logging in.
Yeah. See that? So I see here some posts. So basically the first homework was to make some posts. So Christina did a screenshot here. And then Amberly, I know that I think in the Photoshop you had made a post, so it's not like you don't know, I believe. Let me see. Or was it Illustrator? Are you an Illustrator or in Photoshop? What's your other class, Amberly? I think it's Photoshop, right? You're in one or the other. I'm not sure if it's all day long or anyway. But by the way, not that I'm trying to compare, and there's more people in the Photoshop class, but look at how many posts I have from one class in Photoshop, okay? This is sad, but we didn't do any work, so I get it. I'm not trying to go, hey, we're getting going. But at least the screenshot, okay? So if you can do that, Kristen and Amberly. And that way, if you need a hand, you can ask me and I can remind you how to do that. Now, both of you guys are on VDI. So you can either choose to do the whole thing inside of VDI, or when you click on the chat link that I just sent, that'll open up the Padlet outside of VDI. Does that make sense? Because it opens it as a new tab. Since you're on Zoom, if you click on the link, it opens it in your regular browser as another tab, right? Did you get that, like Kristen or Emily, what I'm saying?
Mhm.
When you do your screenshot, you're doing that in your regular computer. So you're putting it in your own computer to then post it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then you, versus being inside the VDI computer, because then you'd have to go inside the VDI computer, go to a browser, open it up, and go to Padlet that way, which is much more complicated. It's just do a screenshot, and by clicking on this link, it'll be outside of VDI. All right. So Illustrator. Okay, got it. Kristen, Amberly's in my Illustrator, not my Photoshop. Which, by the way, how are the Illustrator posts doing? No, so it's a small class too, but there we go. And Amberly, I know you posted one in here. I knew that you had posted somewhere. Okay. But let's get one here in the Digital Side Techniques class. All right. So again, the screenshot is of whatever's on your screen right now, such as the assignment. Now, the assignment was also to make sure that everything was working. Okay, so that was the post and make sure it's working. And I had requested that you read this article. Now, this just to know, no rights or wrongs, who read the article. Or if you've already read it in the past, like I know Moni and Rebecca have seen it in the past, even Kristen probably has seen it in the past. That's good. But like Christina and Amberly, did you guys get a chance to read this article?
I did skim it. I did know some information on pixels.
Okay, good. And Amberly, good. All right, cool. That's good. So then when we talk a bit more about all of the metadata and pixels and stuff like that, you have some information to support the learning. Okay, great. Thank you. And now let me clear this off. And first of all, what we're going to have, we always start with Bridge. And the reason we start with Bridge is because that's where we are going to have some of the source art that we're going to use for our work. And then depending on what our task is, really in the process of digital design. Oh, by the way, hold on. I forgot one more thing. I wanted to mention that Moni posted some work that she's doing. And is this, by the way, I didn't read the details. Let me actually read in the other one. Is it the post? Is it the, oh, there for website. Okay. I was like, is it a poster? What is it for? So this is the draft of the current project for the Dos Pueblos instrumental music concert. So this is going to be on the website. And is it a is it how do you call it? A constant, is it going to be there all the time? It's just one invitation and then it goes away. Like it's a temporary.
I don't know at this point. Oops, and I see that there's a mistake. So first of all, I sent a message to the web master or to find out what size, and I haven't heard back.
Okay.
So this was kind of just a sample
Okay.
to decide. Yeah. So I don't know because they've been using an old template, and
Okay.
I don't think it's a good template. And so, but yeah, so I don't know. Yeah.
Well, here's the reason I'm asking is because I don't have the website. Like if you want to link the website in the chat, that
Oh, yeah.
see the website, that would be helpful.
Okay.
To see where the plan is to insert it. But I have a little bit of feedback here.
Yeah.
And so this is, so anyway, I just didn't know at first it would be like a postcard sent out or once, but then now I read it, it's for the website. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys imagine that this is your website, right? And you're looking at it on a computer. and you're seeing it about yay big, whatever it might be. Someone else is looking at it on their phone and they're looking at it and it's maybe yay big. And I can't make it smaller in this app, but you see what I mean? Like they're looking at it at half the size, or does that make sense what I'm saying? Something that's for the web isn't going to be exactly always in front of their faces, 5 by 7 or whatever. And my concern in this font is that there's not enough
Oh,
space
yeah.
between the letters.
Mm.
So imagine when this gets tiny, like Willie, Willie, that's like one of the worst names for,
Yes.
or Alex Isles. See the space between the I and the L?
Yeah.
Mm.
Others are fine, right? But even like the Tom Scott, like the M is encroaching on the O. So the way this font is set up, either you need to add some more space between them, and we're going to talk about that, but even see like the 2023, 2029,
Hmm.
22,
Yeah.
or now what I don't understand is the dates. Is that when they came? I just don't understand.
Yeah. So I just put in if you want to see the website. So these were all the headliners.
Okay.
And those are all the different years. And so this was to go on to the jazz festival. If you go to the top,
Okay.
you click on this website needs
Jazz
to be
festival.
totally
Okay.
redesigned.
All
Okay,
right.
there's that. So I was thinking maybe in this whole space right here,
Okay. Wonderful.
because that was Alex Isles.
Okay. Oh, this is
And
out.
then
Okay.
yeah. So and I think the way they have it, if you click on the jazz festival, you can go down to posters or headliners. Yeah. So headliners,
So this is
these
her,
are the
by the way,
posters.
this is her poster. She made this one. And in fact, I think you made quite a few of these at this point, right?
Yeah, the year before.
One
No,
also
I didn't make. I only did.
these two.
Yeah,
Okay. This one and that one.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. But see how even
Yeah.
small, there's some space. I'm sorry. My husband is 3 hours like
Oh.
off, and he doesn't get, so let me just text him and tell him that I'm teaching. He's in the East Coast, and I'll call on my break in about 1.5 hour approximately. Okay. I think he's not, even though he knows I'm teaching, I don't think he gets that that 9 a.m. has come and gone. Like, we had to talk before. So I don't normally text and stuff during the time I'm teaching, but I needed to let him know. Okay. So look at how small we're seeing this right now. At least I'm seeing it small. And see how all the letters are separate from each other? See
Yeah.
how you can still read well? And I'm just saying that in an example of a poster that actually is going to be a big poster. So not even necessarily a web banner. But in this case, if I go back, let me see the headliners. Okay, so headliners right now, you just have like the names of
And-
who was there. Okay,
yeah.
good. So if we go back to just the jazz festival icon, and that's going to be here. So then proportionally, I don't think what you're designing is that proportion, is it? So it's
No,
not that
that's
proportion yet.
yeah. So this was just purely to kind of have
Just an
something to
idea.
go, oh, what if we do something like this?
Got it. So one thing that might be interesting, and I don't know who manages the website, but is to have like a carousel, a slider. But again, this is way beyond but if they do that where you can have like this photo and then your photo and whatever, to have 2 or 3 different ones, but anyway, beyond that, if this is going to go in there, my concern here is the text that needs much more spacing, okay? And we're going to see in InDesign how to do that. In all the 3, InDesign, Illustrator, and in Photoshop, you do that the same way. And even here, Benefit Dos Pueblos Instrumental Music, and I'm just comparing to the poster. So let me go back again and pick up the poster, only because here I'm saying something and I want you guys to see that what I'm saying makes sense. This is even tinier than the font that we're reading there, and I'm not having any trouble reading any of it. Got it? There's space between the lettering. In fact, in this one, a bit less there, Alameda Avenue, but I guess people who come here know, what the address is, but there's a little bit crunched in there. But this one's nicely spaced out. and versus these names. Do you all see what I'm talking about now, guys? Okay. So again, that's the first concern. Like a benefit disposed instrumental music program is all like crunched in. So maybe it needs 2 lines or something like that. Or just easier font. But another thing that's going on here, and it's thank you for bringing this, by the way. And Moni knows this is not like bashing at all. This is feedback that she takes, and she makes things much better each time she.
I'm taking notes.
Right? And so I'm giving her feedback that then for the rest of you guys who don't know how to do it, when we get into the program, I will show you how to do the things I'm telling her. So this isn't like Moni, everyone else, don't bother. And here I'm just talking to Moni. Rather, I'm giving feedback that I want you guys to take in and understand, and then I'll show you the tool for how to do it. But that so that you're aware of these things whenever you get around. And this isn't a design class where I get to teach you design. This is as much as I get to teach you. I'll teach you the tools. But as much as I get to teach you is when you show me things and I give you some feedback of what might need to be, worked on so that when you do your design, you consider those issues. And the readability is very important. Yes, Rebecca?
Would you have a different font depending on whether it's going to be in a phone or an iPad or on the website?
Yeah,
Or-
it's a great question. No, for the 3 things you mentioned, because phone, iPad, or website are all screen methods of delivery. It's on a screen versus print. That is a different method of delivery. And we're going to be distinguishing a lot between something that goes to print and something that goes on screen. Okay. So in that sense, it's different. Now, so the big question is ideally, no, ideally you don't change font between screen and print, especially if you want it to be recognized as the same. What if I go and I receive a postcard of this and it's all curly Q letters, and then I go to the website and it's all like is it 2 different events? Like there's subtle things that might. Now, is there a kind of font that may be more appropriate for the web that is so similar to the one that's on print that no one can tell other than the designer? Yeah, that's possible. There's fonts that are made just for the web that don't exist for print, in which case you might need to find something that's also very similar. Now, this isn't such a crazy different specific type font. Like this one is a font that's very special, but this is a font that you can replicate with other fonts if you want one that prints better and one that goes website. Does that make sense? But in this case, I'm talking about the same font that's here. If you don't choose to change it, then what we need to do is make space between each letter. And I have so many different programs, but let's go ahead. We can just do it since we haven't yet opened any of the apps. We opened only Photoshop. Everyone open InDesign in the background because it's the one that takes the most time to open. So open InDesign. And then I will, when everyone gives me a yes that their InDesign is up and running, I will show you really quickly what I'm talking about because I want to make sure that all of this is founded in real learning. The stuff that I'm telling Moni, I know that she knows, by the way, I have a very good friend of mine whose name is Momi with M. So every now and then you'll hear me saying Momi instead of Moni, but I know your name, but sometimes I'll get that.
If
Deanna, I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt. I gotta go, but I just want to say thank you and I'll try and get back, but at least I got the beginnings and I've logged in and all that's good.
I remember I heard you saying that you had to leave. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. I'll
Okay,
see
bye.
you. Bye.
Deanna, would it be helpful for me to open up that actual document?
Actually go for it because then you can make a change when you're sharing your screen and we can immediately see the difference. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. All right. So Amberly, Christina, and Rebecca, give me a yes once InDesign is open, and then I'll share my InDesign to show you the tool that I'm talking about. Or we can even have, like Moni is going to open the file and thus share it so we can see it right on her screen. Meanwhile, you guys are opening InDesign. And by the way, let me know, both Amberly and Christina, if there's any issue with opening or whatever it is. But if not, once it's open, if you're not having issues, it's just opening, let me know when it's open. So let me mention something else, Moni.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem to be black. That's black. This is a
No.
red.
So again, I'm just playing around with things. So I put a rectangle over all of the pictures
Okay.
to make it kind of
Like ghosted or lack of.
yeah, just to kind of bring the center part, because really what it is I want people to see this the date for the 2026, right?
I
And so
have to be honest, and I have never told you this. I don't like that at all. I don't. I've never told this to Moni. It just doesn't look good. It just
yeah,
looks like a bad design. It
okay.
doesn't look like vintage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
If you wanted to make it look vintage or you wanted to make it not stand out, you might want to make them all toned. See how this one's got a tone to it?
Yeah.
But maybe you tone them all purple
Make
or
it all
or
sepia or
yellow.
something.
But
Yeah.
but this lack of contrast, especially on the
Okay.
gray against that, and it just makes it look like
Oh,
it's
that's it.
just
That's an easy fix.
yeah. So you might want to do it to the photos, but leave the Alex Lyles or whatever, those blocks black or not, because you don't want them to stand out. Maybe you need to do something like make the
Well,
dates
here,
more.
let me share so you can see because I just took it off.
I'm going to stop my share. But again, we're not going to spend hours redesigning this, you guys.
No.
I'm just going to point out the technicality of certain things. So that comment that I just made is not so typical of me to mention the design itself. But I want to say, okay.
Did
So
did it go?
I'm seeing it.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I'm not seeing it on my. Okay.
I'm seeing it. Now you don't seem to have that sheath or whatever it was in front of this one.
I just took it off.
Oh, that's why. So turn it on and off so people can see.
Oh, okay. Let me put it back.
Um, so it's there we go. So this.
So let me take. I'll take one off so you can see it. Because I'm
and
just
then
going to delete
you
it.
can just like turn off the eyeball
Oh, okay.
to do the on and off so that you don't have to, meaning you can. But let's just do one. There, left, put it on again, just on and off on the left side. See what I mean, you guys? That
Yeah.
kind of flattening that she had done, which was an idea, but ideas are great to try out. And then it's also good to go, ah, that one didn't work. And I'm saying that one didn't work. Personally. Now there's until I focused on the fact that it said 22/3, 2021 on the front, it just seemed like this is the lineup for this jazz festival. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Like these are coming. And then I went, okay, oh, there's a date in top. So I would recommend either making it clearer, like there's the date is something that you have on the top left of each picture, and then there's a little byline of the names, something that makes it more obvious, or
Okay.
just their names, and at the very top have like a line going 2016, 2017, 2018, 19, something that we see that this is the past.
Well, I was going to say so originally it was going to be like save the date and then,
Okay.
but yeah, that makes sense about,
Or just write,
past.
headliners or something. Now,
Yeah.
people who see this for the most part know this because people from the school
Right.
have the history, right? Remember, when we saw that one, we saw that one. But right now, the message for someone who doesn't know that, the story isn't being told very clearly that it's
Yes.
maybe
Okay.
one of those little timeline, one of those lines where you have like a long line and you have like the days, a timeline thing where you have whatever, this is 2016 through 2025, and you put little dots with the dates with their names, and then you just have their photos in the background. You know what I mean? Something that makes it sound like, look at the great people that we have. This is our
Yeah.
save the date for this one, right? But that's just a design tip. Now, you guys on over here, did you see how to see something on and off? Can you do that again? She turned the eyeballs on and off. So the design was attempted. Someone said, me, not good. She doesn't like it. Then she can get rid of it. But at first, you're just testing things out. You see them on and off by clicking on that little eyeball. And if you don't like it, you take it away. So it's okay to have many eyeballs off in the sense that you're testing things. You're not testing things. When you're sure you don't want them, then you completely get rid of it. So if you are going to get rid of it to show how you do it, go ahead and do that. Go to the thing that says right screen, and you can't get rid of it per se unless it's turned on because it needs to be active. Okay. So you need to have that turned on in order to later to get rid of it. And what she's going to do And this is layers, and we're going to be talking layers today. What she's going to do, she's going to go and select that layer by clicking on this little dot right there. And so see these little boxes that turned on that layer? Can you grab it and move it so people can really see what it is just before you get rid of it? Can you? It's like a little box, like move it out here a little bit or something. Just drag it from the middle. It's like a box that all it has is a little bit of a fill, and it's made very transparent. So if you look over here, she has a white fill and it's 20%. So you only see 20% of that white. And so it's looking like a little opaque, like a little box of just opacity. You see that? That's kind of what she had on top of that she's now getting rid of. Okay. Any questions, by the way, Christina or Amberly in particular that I don't, like, since I don't see your faces, I'm not sure if you get it. Like many times I see nodding or I see like, I don't understand. But if I don't have that, then give me a little bit of feedback on the chat, like, okay, I get it, or just talk to me.
Can you just real quickly go over the different layers? 1, 2, 3, and 4. That
This here, oh, yeah, we'll talk a lot about that. Don't worry. We'll get into the whole layers conversation. But right now,
okay.
notice that right now, she has layer 1 open. And so what we're looking, and we're going to see that all of this is in layer 1. Everything that we're seeing is layer 1. Can you go in and turn off layer 4 and 5 and let's see what's on them? Layer 4.
Can't remember what I.
Sorry, 3 and 4. Yeah. So there's nothing in them right now. We're going to discover that most of the time you just work in one layer.
Well, layer
Okay.
2 has
Oh,
some
and you
things,
do
but
have, okay, so that down there, layer 2 is like the layout, I think, right?
yeah.
Background layout. So we're going to talk about when you use layers. For the most part, the way I use layers, and I'm going to talk to you about that, is for like, if you're going to use layers at all, it's going to be like, one will be the formatting, like the background, the guidelines, that kind of stuff, like the things that you're using to your margins, if you have columns, things like that. Another one could be all the text, another one can be the art. So divide it into types of things if you're going to work on that together. And then other times you can have different reasons for having layers. Many times we don't have layers. We just do it all. But what we do have is grouping. So can you close some of these groups, for example? So we might have like individual groups like this here. If you open it up, is everything about Stephen Moretti. If you open that up, it's all about Carl Hunter. So, and then inside of Stephen Moretti, which is this one, then you have his name, his photo, his this, that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? So you just try to keep that in one little group. So we're going to talk about groups. We're going to talk about all that. But right now, the main thing that I wanted to teach you was about the text. So let's grab any one of these. Let's get Willie Murillo, since it's one of the worst offenders. And the problem is that you have black boxes. Or can you make it zoom into that so we can see this portion better? Okay. So, which of course, the bigger you get it, it looks better, but we know that it's not. And so we're going to go to, do you have William Rio on its own? Nope. Okay.
Yeah, obviously I didn't here.
I saw something under Stevie Moretti. Okay. Here, Hernandez and Murillo. You have something up there. Hernandez.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay. Hernandez and Murillo. Okay. So here is the text that says Willie Murillo. Okay.
Right here.
Oh, the name just says the same text. So you can go and select just that text, or whichever one is the one. That's his name, that one. And there it is. See how here his text, his name got selected, you guys? Okay. And so now we're going to head over to, we're not seeing, at least I'm not seeing all of these tools. I'm seeing it to here. Is it me? Let me see. I might have you read it fit to window. Yeah, it was me.
Well,
No,
it's
it was
not
me. It was me. I was not see. I had zoomed in to see better, and now I don't need to. Okay, so over here in
I
the
can move it over if I need to.
no, it was me. Over here in the character box that we're going to visit, there's so many choices of what you can do. But if you look at the little tiny designs, they kind of tell you what they are. And this one here, or this one here are the two that we're going to be needing right now. But let's start with this one here. So put your mouse over the icon for a second and sit there. And it says tracking. Then go over to this one and hover over that one for a second. That one says kerning. So tracking or kerning are the two tools that we use for separating letters. The difference is that kerning is only one letter between each other. And I think we need to do some kerning here in the word jazz, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. But for Willie Mario, I think what we need is tracking, because tracking gives spaces that are identical to in between all of the letters, just to let them breathe. So let's start first with seeing what tracking can do. Go ahead and move over to that arrow. Yeah, the arrow that you're about to do. And let's give it a ridiculous, let's give it 200 tracking for a second. And you guys just look. See what happened? Willie is much more open. Go ahead and do Command Z and redo again, like Command Z. Look at the word Willie. Okay. And now go ahead and do 200 again. See all the space that got made in between each letter? So I don't know that that's the right number. Now, what happened to the rest of the word is that the box was too small for it to fit, so it disappeared. So now stretch the word out. Yeah, just stretch your box out.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, Command Z to get it to straighten out again. Never try to straighten it out again, Command Z. Okay, and now grab it from, it's going to be hard, yeah, from the box.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna make it bigger.
Yeah. Grab it from the, yeah, from that one.
Oh, it's just moving then the whole thing.
Do it, and then go to the bottom Bix and hold your shift if you need so it doesn't move, and then pull it to the right. And then now we have space for the whole thing. Okay, and now you can grab.
Just really quick, I think Christina had a question. Her hand was up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I did, but you know, as I'm thinking of these questions, I'm getting the answers.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. Let me just say, pat on my back. I kind of am trying to anticipate what you guys are asking, but please definitely, in this case that I'm not looking at the group, just speak up your question, right? Because unless she had mentioned that, I wouldn't have known. So you can just ask your question. It's just 5 of us. When there's 25, yeah, you got to be a bit more careful, but there's just us.
How does the file know? Because you have two distinct pictures here. How does is it a different layer that this 2022 Willie Morello?
Yeah, so right now there's one, it's not layers. Okay, and remember this up here is a layer. There's a few layers. These are different objects. 2022 is a text object, separate from Willie Mario is a different text object. She did not write 2022 Willie Mario Lito Hernandez. She wrote each one independently, which is definitely what you would have to do in a poster type situation. Okay.
So it's still all the same layer. You're just physically layering it on top of each other.
So we'll just, that question, let's just start working and you'll understand, because then it won't make, that'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. Because when you write Willie Mario, it appears as one object. When you write 2022, it appears as another object. They're just distinct objects that float around on their own. Like if I were to grab go ahead and grab Willie Mario and move it around, see, like you can just move each one of these things independently. See, they're all the different objects of this thing. You can go ahead and do a Command Z so you don't undo, but everything moves independently. Okay. But that's a question that as soon as we start working on it, you'll get it. So I don't want to spend too much more time, as in, you'll see that's an easy one once you put your hands on it. But look at the difference in space, on the whole word Willie Mario. Go ahead and zoom out again now so we can compare it to everything else. And the black box might be too big or something, but let's compare. And I'm not saying that 200 is good or enough, but let's see the whole poster again. And now, guys, try to see the difference between the spacing between the letters of Willie Mario and between the letters of Lito Hernandez. Doesn't particularly have bad letters because they're all round and they had their own space, but Willie was a particularly bad one. Alex Isles is a particularly bad one. Right? And so look from afar how you can read the word Willie Mario and you can barely read any of the others. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Now, you don't want to exaggerate. You don't need to make it like, oh, so huge. Maybe there's an in-between point of where that would be good. I just wanted to show you the difference that just adding space. Now we went to the max that is automatically allowed, which is 200. You can type in for more space. But anyway, that is a really powerful thing to have in mind. Now, too much space is bad. It makes things unreadable. If you have a piece of text, like a long piece of text with a lot of space, our eyes can't thread that into meaning. You know what I mean? So you want to do that carefully, or yes, for one name, it's fine. But there you go. Now you separated 2022 and see how 2022 reads much better than what 2024, 2025. See how those read versus how 2022 reads right now. And you need to consider, yeah, people will be seeing this in tiny screens on their phones, middle screens on their iPads, bigger screens on their desktops. So you need to make something that's for the internet be readable even when it's tiny. All right. So the other thing, I look at now that it's so tiny, this is basically impossible to read. I have no idea what that thing is saying at all. So that one might need 2 lines and stuff like that. And then this
So I
here,
was going to say, so that's exactly when you get to that. So
Mhm.
I have
so
a,
let me,
something to, what was that?
no, go ahead.
So I have to admit, so I did this really fast.
No, I'm not, please.
No. So this whole thing is actually the poster. It's
Okay.
and so I can't change it.
Oh, but is
So
it the old poster?
well, actually it's the front of the program as a,
Of the other one. Okay,
just an
but you do
image
have
of it,
those
the whole
materials.
thing. So
So
I
when
don't
you
have,
but you
I would
did
have to,
you made it yourself at some other point in another file, right?
so this jazz festival font was actually from a different program, and
Okay. So then here's my
so
suggestion.
I have to find it and download it.
So here's my suggestion. Whenever you get around to it, or
Mhm.
if you recreate it, let me explain what I'm talking about. Let's move
Yeah.
it a little bit closer so people can see. That example that we gave here in William Maria 2022, that's separating all the letters between each other. And that is good for small text, and that is considered small text. But this jazz festival, on the other hand, big headliner, just look at the word jazz. Just look at the word jazz if you can. And doesn't it seem like there's a different amount of space between these letters than in that one? Doesn't it look, and I know that I'm being critical here, but doesn't it seem like the ZZ are closer to each other than the J and the A? You guys see that? And you can tell me no, I don't see that. It's an optical illusion. Technically, it was written Jazz, and they are technically correct, but not optically correct, because it seems as if these two, and it's because of the shapes of the letters, that's what I'm saying, it depends on the text. It seems like these two are closer to that, and they're not. The actual spacing between this and that and that and that is the same, but you have so much space here because of the A that this is when you would use the other, and she doesn't have it in text format, so she can't right now. But this is when you would go and use the other one that I showed you, where you're gonna join only the space between these two to make it more similar to that, or add space to this one to make it look visually more similar to that one. Definitely this one needs to be brought closer so that these two spaces look similar, and then maybe add a little bit more space there. And then visually we'll look at that and it'll look like the word has similar spaces, even though in fact they won't anymore. Although though now they're technically the same, that's optically wrong. So you're going to optically move this one up closer and separate this one a bit more, and then it'll look like the spaces are the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's also between the V
Yeah.
and the A.
And that exactly. Then you start noticing those things when you start go, oh, you're right. Now, so for some words it's worse than others, and it really is literally, that's what I'm saying, like Isles is worse than Alex. Why? Because Isles has the I and the L, and then an E and stuff like that. So between the I and the L, you would have to go in there and give a little bit more space. But in this case, Alex, between big and small and big and small, it kind of works. For some words, it works, and for some others, it looks horrible. or you need to go in there when there's two T's, you need to give a little separation. But you only do that mainly for big titles. And for these things, if it's a big poster, you're going to go in and fix each word. But if it's just a small thing, you're fine. It's not a big deal. It all depends on how much it needs. But like the word lito here again, L-I-N-T, and then there's this big O that's hanging out there. Our eyes understand that and make do, but if you add a bit more space to them, then it'll be easier to see it. Okay. So I don't want to spend 100 more hours on this one design, just showing you the difference, and definitely this one you will. It's so good that you said that this is for something else. This was a program designed
Yeah,
in hand.
it was.
Let me explain. People hold this up to their eyes at the distance of reading. And even if it's small, people probably would have been able to read A Benefit for Dos Pillows musical program, especially if this is the whole thing they're reading. Okay. Now, when we repurpose it and throw it in here as is, and when you zoom out, because the whole thing is what needs to be taken in at once, we discover that this didn't repurpose well. That line turned out to be almost unreadable. So there's ways of repurposing things that help, that consider the format change. And I'm going to show you that where you change the layout, but it has to be active InDesign material. And then when you change the layout, the text might have like expanded or enclosed to make space for it. So it's like it's under here, under, go to layout. See if it's
I think that one actually. I wrote. I think it was the Jazz Festival. The other one, I think I think it's in here. This one. So
Oh,
I can change that.
okay, good. So that one you can work.
Yeah.
That one, I don't think that expanding. I mean, I think this one you need to put into a couple
Two
of,
lines.
you know.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm going to stop your share.
Okay.
Thank you so much, because
Yeah.
you're always not only generous, not only great in that you're making things so that we can talk about, but generous and sharing and allowing for this part of the class, which is a critique that is not criticism. It is supportive of learning and experimenting. You know, a critique is not criticism, and that's what that was. It's just feedback on how to do things. But my goal for the rest of the class is to learn from that and for Moni to get a better product when she's done. Okay. So if anyone is creating things and shows them to me, I'll go, oh, that's great. That's awesome. Amazing what you're doing. And, or, hey, and there's a thing here I can point out that you might want to look at. Moni and I have been working for quite a bit, so I went deeply. If you have something to show, trust me, I will be less critical of the critique part, and I will be much more formative and supportive of what was work. But she's always showing me work that's awesome. This is the first one that I'm immediately went, I'm not sure. And so I needed to, and I know that she does this for real. This isn't just a practice. She's going to put this on the website. So that's why I wanted to give her true support with it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. Now let me clear everyone's answer. Oh, there are no answers. And Amberly, I didn't see, let me see, let me refresh. I don't see anything posted in the Digital Design Techniques Padlet yet. So if you haven't yet, can you please do that? And can you answer in the chat to make sure that you're getting the message? I need to see some work to make sure you can do it. I mean, I saw that you did it for Illustrator, but just to make sure that it's working for you now, that you get a little post in here. You can screenshot anything, I don't care what, and post it in here. All right, everyone else who's here has posted. Well, Kristen hasn't, but she had to leave for the dentist for when she comes now. All right, good. Now, let's go to Bridge. Actually, here we go, Digital Design Techniques. All right. So let's learn about which one should, let's learn about layers in Illustrator. Not layers, but the same thing, Christina, that you were asking. It's very similar to Photoshop is different. Illustrator and InDesign are similar to each other. So since I need to show you each one of the programs a little bit, and I told you to open it Digital Design Techniques. It's hard to create something layered in there. Well,
Excuse me, Deanna.
InDesign, not Digital Design Techniques.
When I open up my bridge, I still can't see those pictures. Remember, you had us save the HEIC
Oh, I knew
picture.
I had to do that for Photoshop, but I forgot I had to do it for for this class. I am so sorry. Oh, I made myself a note to change it for the Photoshop class, but I did not change them here. That's okay. I'll just ignore it for now. HEIC in Digital Techniques folder. I completely forgot about that. It's not a big deal right now, but
I just want to say, so mine looks slightly different than yours.
yeah, that's fine. But you do have some late. We're not going to use any of those anymore right now. We're going to be just using Illustrator. But yeah, we have JPEG over there. We have a couple of JPEGs if we need to, so no big deal right now. But yeah, I forgot to do it in this one. Sorry. But that's fine. If we need one, we have one. We have a JPEG or two, so we'll be fine. Okay, so since you did open InDesign, let me go ahead and let's use InDesign instead. Okay, so let's go ahead and open InDesign. And let's start from scratch. Let's go ahead and in InDesign, let's all go say new file. And when we open a new file, this box opens up, which is telling me, well, what are you planning to create? Are you going to create something for print, which is one whole set of choices, or web or mobile, which interestingly enough, they're both for screen, right? So if they're both for screen, the values that are going to be over here are identical to each other. It's just that it's giving you some presets for different sizes, okay? But the big difference in the values is what's in print. And that has to do with resolution. So the handout that you all read about resolution and stuff like that, we definitely need a minimum of 300 ppi. So a lot of material in a photo that's going to be printed versus we need very few pixels in an image that's going to be on the web. In fact, at the least possible for it to still look good. So if we're going to be doing something, so say that Moni's thing is going to be a postcard and it's going to be on the website, then we would have to default to have it be set for print. We would create it in that size, and then we would have to modify the size and the resolution for the version that goes to the web. But you can't start with a web version and then try to make it for print because it just won't have the material it needs and it won't print well. Does that make sense? So for now, let's default to print. Let's choose print. Over here, we don't want picas. Let's change this to inches. And for now, we won't change anything else. So what's the default letter size, which is 8.5 by 11? Orientation is going to be regular straight up, but here's where we would shift that. It's just a regular straight up. Let's go ahead and for now have just one page. It's just to give you an idea of what InDesign is doing. No columns, and it comes with a default margin of 1/2 inch. So this is just the default setup for a one letter something. Let's just go ahead and all I want you to change is the inches. That's it. And then let's just say create. Okay. And then when this opens up, and once this is open up, I need us to, before we do anything else, reset our workspace. Remember we did that with Photoshop last time and we did it with Bridge. So up here on the right side of our screen, we're going to see either the word essentials or maybe you have it under another, but these are all the different workspaces. This is advanced, this is book. So each one of these, digital publishing, each one has different things that we're going to be needing to do, okay? Typography. So let's go ahead and set it in just essentials. And then in case anything had been changed, some of you guys have taken this class before, let's just reset essentials. So that's back to regular, because see, I had some things over there that were beyond essentials. Okay, so essentials and then reset essentials. Now, I think the essentials is a little bit lacking, right? And things, but never mind. That's the way it is. I just want to make sure that we all see and understand where the contextual taskbar might be, which was there a second ago. And I think I touched it and got rid of it. Here we go. So this is the contextual taskbar that I think I showed this class. Did I show you this class during Photoshop, when I showed Photoshop yet? This contextual taskbar? Not 100% sure if I got to show it in this class. And that would be answers for Christina or Amberly. But Amberly, you saw it in I believe in Illustrator. We already saw it. No, did I use it in Illustrator yet? I know I used it in Photoshop. Anyway, after the second week that everyone's seen all the basic stuff, then it's the same, whatever class people are in. But since I'm first introducing the applications for some people, some classes have seen it before others, certain tools. All right, so if everyone has their digital design, what do I call my InDesign, my digital design technique? If everyone has their InDesign program up and running, the essentials cleared up, and your page looks just like mine, give me a yes before we continue. And Christina, you said that your computer froze. Bummer. Let me know when it's up and running. Okay. But so and Kristen left herself connected, and I can't kick her out because she went to the dentist and she'll be back. But I can't kick her out since she didn't leave. So there's going to be no answer from there, and that's okay because she's not there. If I kick her out, then she can't join the class in the future because it feels if I kick someone out, it's like they're doing something wrong, and so the school. It was, during COVID when people were posting weird things, they allowed teachers to kick people out, and then that means that they can't come in again, which means if I want to just drop her right now so that we don't have an empty box there, I can't do anything about it, or she will later not be able to join the class. So she'll be there. But Christina and Amberly, since I'm not seeing you, please give me yeses and nos and stuff like that to know that's happening. Or in this case,
Okay.
Christina, or just open up your sound so that you can communicate with me the whole time instead of having to unmute and unmute, and just let me know things. That way I can keep going. In particular, I see Rebecca and Moni, and they've both taken the class before, so I know that this will be done. But I need to make sure from the two people who are new to the class, if I'm leaving you behind, I need to know. All right. Yes.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said yes, Christina. What's up?
Okay, so I'm in ID
Yeah.
document, print, letter, and you said on the units, change picas to inches.
Yes.
It won't do that.
Okay. So
It says preset details on the upper right-hand quadrant, untitled number 1. So maybe this version
hold
wants.
on. No. Let me just here. Are you seeing me? Let me go
Yes.
to print. Okay.
Right. Letter.
Preset details, all of that, forget about it. These are all the presets, okay? And that's it. And then when you go over here, can you not change this to inches? That doesn't work.
Oh, it
This is-
finally gave me that ability.
Okay, so maybe you were frozen. Yeah.
Okay, so I changed it to inches. Now say create.
Yeah, and now say create. The preset is basically there's a set of presets for web, and these are the details of what those presets are. There's a set of presets for print, and these are the details. So all of this is the presets, meaning if we want to not have an 8.5 by 11, then we need to change it. The preset is all this stuff the way it is. So this
Right.
that we just opened is like the setup of a basic 8.5 by 11. Now,
Okay, it just went when I press create. and
okay,
that's how long it took to get to this blank white screen. So it's taking, for whatever reason, this is a new computer. It's taking
Yeah.
longer.
but you're in, yeah. Oh no, you're not in VDI. You're in your
know.
own stuff. Okay, weird, but
Sorry.
okay. So now do you all see, because one thing that doesn't change, do you all see the rulers here or not? And you all, mainly I'm saying Amberly and Christina. And the reason I'm pointing it
Yeah.
out to you guys is because the other guys probably have turned them on, because I always make people turn them on, and then they stay on forever, and they probably turn them on in another class. So Christina, if you already seen them, that means that the default shows them to you if you've never opened it before. So Amberly should probably be seeing them too. But if not, just so you know, how you would deal with that is you would do Command R, see how they disappeared, and Control R for PCs or people who are like Amberly on a Mac but are working inside of the PC environment in VDI. So you would have to do Control R. Okay, Command R and Command R, or you can go to View and show and hide rulers. So Command R. Okay, so you either hide them or you turn them on, and that's something that is the same when you're just what you'll discover that these things are the same across all of Adobe. If you want rulers anywhere, and guess what? If you open Word from Microsoft Office and you do a Command R, you turn on rulers. It's like some of these commands are across the board, just computers do that. In particular, when there are things that have been around forever, so all programs have adopted it. Now, if you're just coming onto these programs, you don't know what's been there forever or not. But give it a try. Once you learn some shortcuts, try them out in your other programs that you use and see if they function the same, because many of them do. Anyway, so here we see the rulers, and so this is, yep, about 8.5 by, as you can see on the side, 11, and it is measuring in inches. Now say that you forgot when you did this thing, say that when you created the new one, you forgot to change, and you left everything the same, but you left it in picas, and you say create, then this is saying that this is like 50 or something picas over there and stuff like that. You can always right click on the ruler, just right click and shift it there 2 inches. Now this one shifted to inches and this one didn't, because I did it to one ruler. I have to do it to the other. Or I can go to this little corner where both of them join, right click on there and say inches in there, and both the rulers have now switched back to inches. So now I'm back to 8.5 by 11. Does that make sense? So give that a try. Do a right click in your ruler, change it to something else, change it to millimeters, and then right click and change it back to inches. That way you'll practice it. And if you do it in this little corner, right click, then you can make it be Cicero's, which I have to admit, I don't even know what a Cicero is. I do know many other of these weird ones. Or agates. What's an agate? I have no idea what an agate is. I do know picas and pixels, but Cicero's and agates? I have no idea. Anyway, and of course I'm Argentinian, so I dream of the day that someone here begins to work in centimeters, which will never happen. And let's go back to inches. Okay. So if everyone was able to change their measurements and rulers on and off and change the whole setup, give me a yes. I need to see if my tea is not gonna kill me. Give me a second. I've been waiting to have my tea, and I brought some little ice cubes because this thing is way too good, as in that it keeps the heat for way too long, and then I'll never have my tea. So let me put a couple of ice cubes in there because I want to drink. Okay. Tea. All right. All right, cool. So Christina, were you able to do the inches and picas and all of that? Were you able to change that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh,
'Cause, everyone else was giving me a green. Yes, and I'm just saying, I'm gonna look up and when people don't answer, I'll just check in on them. Okay, cool. So now let me clear that feedback and let me go ahead and show you certain things that are not in this basic layout. And one of them is the layers. If I look over here, I don't see the word layers anywhere. And if I ever wonder if I'm just not seeing them, if they're not there, I can go to the word window at the top, and I'll see that if I go down by alphabetical order to the word layers, there's no check mark next to it. So yeah, it isn't out and about. It really isn't. And it wasn't that I wasn't finding them. So I could just turn them on. I could go ahead and turn the layers on. And over here, this whole column appeared. Let me show you again. I'm going to reset essentials. I had no column here. I just had the properties, nothing else. But when I go in here and I turn on the layers, this whole new column appears. And this is like a pop-out box. See that? I turn it on and off, and this is my layers. And this whole little column appeared to add things that I need that aren't available at this point. Okay, so we're going to be doing that. Under the layers, this thing called links, we're going to be using that a ton. And then there's another thing we're going to be using a lot, but we're going to be using it a lot, and it's hiding under properties, which is pages. We're going to be using pages, but right now, between properties and pages, we have to go from one to the next, from one to the next. So what I want to do is separate these so that I have them both available at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select pages. I'm going to grab it from the word right there, and I'm going to drag it and pop it right here under this so that I'll see a little box here. Watch how I'm going to do it. I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm not going to let it go anywhere, because if I let it go anywhere, messes are going to happen. I'm going to wait until, see this blue line? Nope, not there. If I do it there, I'm going to get another column. So that was not what I wanted. I'm also not going to leave it out on that side. I'm going to get a whole nother column. I'm going to get the word pages, and I'm going to pop it until I see a little blue box appearing right there, and then I'm going to let go. And there we go. Now pages is popping in right out. Links is popping out, and layers is popping out. And then properties is living right there. That would be a really comfy way to begin our work with design. So if you've managed to get that to happen, let me know. If you drop this off somewhere in the middle of nowhere, if you made it small, all those things, if it disappeared, some of the pages are gone, say that you click on this, X is gone, you can bring it over here and open again the pages, and it'll pop open again, and then you'll pop it in there. When you see this entire area going blue, you let it go. Yeah, Moni?
Would you also want to put histories on?
Yeah, I'm going to add a couple of other good things in here. Let me just say that I'm going to reset the essentials for a second. The essentials, I think, has not enough. But if I go to Essentials Classic, it's got way too much, right? There's a little bit too much in this one. If I go to Digital Publishing, if I'm doing publishing, the box is quite different. So I'm trying to just move our basic essentials and just add a few things. As you learn more and go to the others, you'll discover that one of these you might like better. Or if you're someone who always does type work, you want that one or whatever. But otherwise, what we're doing here is we are resetting essentials to be something that we like, and then we'll create our own workspace. So see here under Diana's workspace that exists for me and maybe not for you guys, I already have some stuff here that I like, that I want us to use. See that? So we're going to be creating that. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete Diana's workspace right now, because I'm going to have us create our new one. Okay. And that was in part by, first of all, getting the layers. So I'm going to get my layers again, and I'm going to drag them in there. I'm going to drag my pages. I usually put my pages on top of my layers. So pages is there and layers is there. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You can move them around to the best of your butt. Then I'm going to go up to Windows, and I want to bring up the history, which, by the way, history is new for Illustrator and InDesign. It didn't use to exist, but see, it created its own little column. So I'm going to drag it and put it in there. And in fact, I want to put it on top. I want to have my history on top, which is what it appears in Photoshop. And I've done that for eons. So now I have history up there, layers, links, pages. I prefer pages above links. It doesn't matter too much. I'm just saying that you can divide these separately. And then another thing that I'm going to want is all of our type tools. Let's go ahead and choose character and type tools, paragraph. Those two are good ones to have. And so I'm going to put character in there, and I'm going to add paragraph in there. So now we have the basic set of anything that we'll probably be using this today, this trip, not today, this class, like not today's class, but during digital design techniques class. Before we create that new workspace, I want to make sure that everyone has this. And also, like, I don't want my history to be so tiny. So I'm going to set it up, and then I'm going to go down to the bottom of my history and grab, see how there's like three little, like some lines there in that little second bar, drag it out to make it a little bit bigger, pop it down again. I'm going to do the same thing with my layers. I'm going to drag it a little bit bigger. I'm going to drop it down. And that's it. The rest will, the pages always shows up big. So now when I'm ready with all of this, I'm going to go to Essentials and I'm going to say New Workspace. And I'm going to call it Diana's DDT workspace. And you don't need to call it all that. I'm just making it pretty clear so we all know. You can have a job name or a type of thing that you're doing. And now when I start my computer and say that I'm working in typography, right? When I'm ready to work in Diana's workspace, I do that and boom, everything pops in and is ready to go the way I had wanted it to go. So I did that really quick. I'm going to work with you guys to make sure everyone has this set up. But if you already have it and it worked, like you put the same things in there, let me know. And once again, what I've got here was history, pages that I took out from in there, layers. Layers, when you open layers, it comes with links. In fact, when you open it, you see how there's layers and links are together. It's interesting because links used to be with pages, but it's now with layers. And then I put character and paragraph. So if you got that, give me a yes. If you don't, so basically Amberly and Christina, if you need a hand with this, because at first when you're moving things around, disasters happen. Now the good news is that if disasters happen now and I mess things up and I lose things and things end up there, now I can just go up to Deanna's workspace, reset Deanna's workspace, boom, and everything kind of goes back to the beginning. And so now you can add new things because for one thing, I'm going to need this, for one thing, I'm going to need that. And but it's just for one thing or for another thing. So say that I open this thing and it's hanging out here and I open that thing and it's hanging out there, then I can just clean it all up because it's a one-time use by saying reset Deanna's workspace and I go back to the beginning. So Christina, can I give you a hand for anything or is it working? Everyone?
Can you just show how do you reset right now? I'm just busy.
Yeah, so go back. So say that you're in
Right here.
Essentials, right?
Essentials.
You
Okay,
just go down to here and it'll say reset whatever name of whatever you're in.
got it.
Now it's saying reset essentials. If I'm in Deanna's workspace, then I will reset and it gives me the name of what I'm in. Reset
Got it.
Deanna's workspace. So if you created your own workspace and you have the right stuff, then give me a good old yes. And I'm seeing most people said yes. Christina, once you're a yes, let me know. And if you
Okay.
let me know. Ah, my tea is ready to drink without boiling my tongue off. Yesterday, I took a sip. I was in class. I took a sip and I was like, ah. It was for quite a while until I was able to start drinking. So this time I brought ice. Okay. Oh, it's a little bit hot, but it's good. I have one more piece of ice. I'm going to put that one more piece. I really feel like chugging some tea right now. So just so you know, guys, while we're waiting for Christina, if she just said yes. Okay, good. Let me just say anyway that registration opened for the fall semester. So when I get myself around to it, probably this weekend, I've got so much going on. It's ridiculous, but I'm gonna send an email out to everyone of the classes that I will be teaching. That said, for those of you who are in, interested in classes, for fall 2025, registration opened yesterday. Okay, so there's a ton of classes. These are the ones I teach. I'll send you that information, but it's already to register for everyone, not just for me. Okay. And Amberly, thanks. I see your post here. So let's go back to InDesign. Okay. So we have just set up InDesign to work with the kind of tools that we want. Now, let's go to, this is the one that people were asking, the layers. And it's the one that Moni was using to share her work. And you saw that she had a lot of stuff in there. Let's just, for now, put a few things in here. And we're not particularly caring about what we're putting in. So let me just show you what I mean by putting in. Let's grab the type tool right there, the type tool, fourth down or something. And you need to click and drag to make a little box for text to go inside of. And once you let go, a little cursor appears inside that box and we can just type something. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. Grab your type tool, click and drag, and then let's type, this is my first text or whatever, just something. Okay. Now, once you do that and you have some text in there, let's go ahead and grab a bit further down. There's some rectangles. There's two kind of rectangles. One that has a box, that's a frame tool, and one that has like an X in it, that's a frame tool. We'll talk about that. And one that just looks like a little box. Let's use that one. And let's click and drag. And we've just made a box that has, look over here, no fill, nothing. So let's click on fill and let's choose a color, any color. We'll fill it with something. So there we go. Now we have two objects in this document. Once you have two objects in this document, open your layers and you'll see that we only have one layer. It's like, wait a minute, we just put two things in there. This is to help Christina understand the difference between layers and objects. I just put text and I just put a box, and yet this only says it's one layer. And that's because these are two objects inside of this layer. How do we see them? By clicking on this little tiny side arrow there of layer one. And there we go. There's my rectangle and this is my text. So these are my two objects that are residing on layer one.
How did you fill it with color?
Okay, so I made a box.
Yeah.
And then I went over to the properties panel under appearance. The fill is like nixed, it's like forbidden kind of thing. That's the cross out. So I click on that box and I chose one of these colors. So everyone make a second one of these. And the color will be applied to the frame, which is what we just made. We made a frame. And now I have.
I don't see appearance.
Okay, so do you see the properties panel?
Got that.
Here, okay. So once you create your box, you should see the properties panel halfway down. This is where the appearance shows up.
No, mine are different.
Okay, share your screen. Okay, so everyone do a little bit of that stuff. Get yourself 2 or 3 different boxes, maybe another piece of text. Okay, so you made your box, but you don't have it selected anymore. So it needed to be selected. You made it and you immediately give it a color, or now you need to select it, but you have the box tool on right now. Here we go. The tool that you have right now is the box tool, so you can only make boxes with it. You can't select it. So go ahead and make another box. Then we'll go back and fix the first one. And now let go. And see how it's selected? See how it still has these little boxes right now? And your default box has a stroke as opposed to mine. That's the color of stroke, and that's why you're seeing it. Now go up there to the fill and give it a fill. Give it a color of some kind.
Oh,
Down
okay.
here, choose a color. It's a bit different if you're accustomed to Illustrator or something else.
Oh, this is my first InDesign.
Yeah, I know. But
Yeah.
meaning it's similar and different. That's why I said it's different than Illustrator, because I know you've seen it before. So
Okay.
the colors appear a bit different. Now this one, since the tool you're using is the make box, you can't select it. All you can do is make boxes. So in order to select that one, you need to go back to your selection tool, which is the black arrow tool.
That one?
Yep.
Okay.
And you can select it, but there's It's empty. There's nothing inside. It's like trying to grab a donut by its hole. You need to click on the stroke. Yeah. So click on the stroke. So to select it, you need to see little handles. So until you click on the actual stroke, it won't work.
It's, okay,
Oh,
cancel.
drag.
I got a pop-up I had to get rid of.
'Cause
There. Is
you-
that,
No, because you're still in this tool. Because of that pop-up. So go to the other tool. There we go. Now you can select it.
how do I know when I can select it?
Well, it's not selecting. There it is.
Mm.
Now you selected it. And
And
see,
then go to fill
yeah. Mhm.
and then,
Give it another color. Yeah. There we go. And this is just for us to have some things on. Now go to the layers and let's open up your layers. And there we go. And there's your rectangle, your two rectangles, and your text. Okay, so these are the
no, it's my tax.
no. This is your first text. So these are your three elements that are in there. Okay.
Okay.
Now you can practice making a few more, but you need to change tool. Once you make it, you can change it immediately because it's still selected, or you have to go back and select it with the black arrow tool. How's it
Okay.
going with everyone on else? Let me clear your answers. So Amberly and Christina, were you able to make 2 or 3 elements or objects in your page?
May I share my screen?
Yes. Mhm. Okay. So
So the blue one was the first one, but I couldn't figure out how to do another layer.
okay. You don't need to do another layer, and that's the whole conversation I'm having. We will work 99, 100%
Okay.
with one layer. We will rarely, if ever, and unless it's a very complicated project, will we ever have more than one layer, okay? So
Okay.
one layer is fine, but what you need to do is go into this word that says one layer and click on this little arrow that's right there. There you go. These are all the objects that exist in your layer, okay? So that's what you need to be looking at, okay?
Okay. So
Now-
how do I delete the lower
So,
left?
yeah. So whatever you want to do to any of these things right now, the tool you're in is in the Make Rectangles tool. So all you're doing is making rectangles. And so the tool you have in your hand is only good for making rectangles. It's like you're trying to walk, but you're driving a car. Well, you got to get out of the car. If you want to walk, you need to grab the tool called Select, which is this top black tool. Yeah,
Ah,
and you can select these and get rid of them. But the problem is they're hard to select because they are empty. It's like trying to grab a picture frame that has nothing in it and you're grabbing it from the air. You're going to have to touch the actual frame in order to pick it up. And so touch the frame with the tip of your mouse, and now you can delete it. So go to your keyboard and hit the delete key, for example.
okay.
So select one and hit the delete key. Yeah, and select another, hit the delete key, select another, hit the delete key. And you might not think about it, but you have a little tiny one there too. In fact, 2 little tiny ones, and that one.
Okay.
Now you've only got 1, 2, and 3. See how you had like 7 more things here or whatever, 5 more things, and it was all the stuff you made in there. So let's go back to the Make Rectangles tool and make another rectangle. And now when you want to do something with that rectangle, you're going to switch back to the selection tool if you want to grab it and move it around or do something. So grab it, and now you can move it around. So see how it's kind of like, really, isn't there an easier way to go back and forth from tool to tool? Because otherwise I need to go do this one and that one and this one and that one. Yeah, there is a better way. We're going to learn how to go back to this tool, which we need so much and so often, by clicking the letter V on your keyboard. So let's go back to the rectangle tool first. Click on your rectangle tool again.
Right here. Okay.
Yep. Now move your mouse out of the way in here as if you're making another rectangle. Just move your mouse here and make another rectangle if you want.
Okay.
Now, instead of having to go all the way back to the the selection tool, the arrow tool. If you want to now grab this one to change its color, you can't until you leave. Oh yeah, grab that from here and move it out of the way. Put your mouse right here and drag it out of the way. Let me, yeah, click and drag that out of the way. That way it's, okay. So since you're still in your rectangle making tool, right? Which means
Mhm.
that's all you can do. The quick way, and this is for everyone, by the way, to go grab that selection tool, hit the letter V on your keyboard. V for vamoose, visit, V. See how you
I-
grabbed, see how it went straight to that one? Now
Yes.
you can move it around, or let's go give it a color. Let's go to the fill here. Oh, you need to select it again. Now it's deselected. Nothing happens. It needs to be selected. Good. Now go over to the colors and give it a color. Like my pink shot off. Yeah. No. Yeah. There we go. And now one thing that I haven't added to mine yet, let's add a stroke. So let's select one other one of these. Let's select that one. Yeah, and now let's go over here to stroke. And we want to give it a different color, but it's so thin. Yeah, go ahead. We can't see it. So let's go over here to 1 point and let's make that be a thicker one. So yeah, so now that one has a very thick stroke with no fill. See that? That's a very wide stroke with no fill. Now, this is just to give you an idea of the basic functioning of things. Normally, we won't be designing things like this as far as like logos and stuff. We would do it in Illustrator, although everything I'm showing you here is totally identical, except for how you fill the color to Illustrator. But what you might be doing these frames for and boxes for is, for example, remember all those black boxes under the text that Moni had in her thing. So you might be doing a black box to put under the text to have the text be more visible. So that's the kind of thing I'd be doing in InDesign. You might be making a box to put a photo on top of it. But if you're doing designs, we will be doing them in Illustrator. But anyway, this whole part, Illustrator and InDesign, are identical to each other. All right. This is what I want to talk about right now, the layers. So to manipulate layers, we need to be back in the selection tool, which is the V. Okay, and there you go. You're in the V. I'm going to stop your share and I'm going to keep sharing
Sure.
myself.
Thank you.
Hear your feedback. All right. So now let me share my screen. Here we go. Back to InDesign. So now I have my, what if I want to, so I'm in my V or direct selection, not direct selection tool, my selection tool. Notice if I hover, watch you guys. If I hover over this tool, see my little tooltip that says, and I move away, it'll go away, but it says selection tool, V. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like when you hover over it, it's called selection tool and it does a V, or it also says escape. That's new that you can get to the V with the escape tool. That I did not know, and it makes sense. Say that I'm in the pencil and I want to go to my V. If I hit escape, no, it's not. Okay, let me try. No, so I don't know why it says escape. That's interesting. I would just go to V. Yeah, I don't know, escape. I was just hovering over it. It says escape, but it doesn't seem to be it. Underneath, it's a white selection tool. We call that one the direct selection tool. And the shortcut for that one is A. Under that, the page tool, Shift P, the text tool, T, the pen tool, P. So these letters that you see, rectangle tool, M, okay? Frame tool, F. If you begin to learn those, you don't need to go and get your tools. That said, I only want you guys at this point to know the V. That's the one that is really useful. The rest you use now and then, but you always go back to the selection tool. And though if you use this one, hit the V to go back there. If you use that one, hit the V to go there. So choosing this now and then is easy. And you'll slowly learn shortcuts for these too. But the one that you want to really seal in your brain is the selection tool V. All right, so now I'm going to open my layers. And you'll slowly remember what icon is each, but if you hover over them, it'll say layers. pages, links, right? So you'll, by the time you figure out what each one is, but right now, the one that has these little guys is our layers. When I open this little triangle, my layers open up, and here I see my 3 rectangles and my text. But of these 3 rectangles, I don't know which is which. It just says rectangle, rectangle, rectangle. So if I select one with my selection tool, I will see that this one has a little blue box right there. That means that it's selected. If I click on this yellow one, that one is the one that's selected. So as much as I can select them this way, I could also use this to select them. If I want to click on this, it went and grabbed the blue one. If I click on this, see, it went and grabbed the pink one. If I click on this, it went and grabbed the yellow one. So that's a way to select from the layers panel. And this is how you select from the working space. Now this is how I would select my text. Now it doesn't select the text, it selects the text box that holds my text, which in this case is much bigger than my text, okay? Now let's grab these and let's pile them one on top of each other a little bit. So all 3 are overlapping, and you might have 4 or 5, but let's make at least 3 overlap. And what if I wanted my pink on top? Well, or my blue on top, and well, it's not going to happen. Why is it not going to happen? Because they appear in the order that they were created. The first one I created was a blue one, so it's at the bottom. The last one I created was yellow, and so it's on top. So now that's when this becomes really handy, because now what I can do is I can move the top one, and I can see that it's the one that has the yellow box there. I can select it from the layer. I can select its element, drag it down. See how I got that gray line that follows me? And I'm going to put it at the bottom. Pretty cool. Or I'm going to grab the pink one now. And it's the one that has blue. And I'm going to drag it and put it in the middle. The blue one, the pink one, the yellow one, I can move them around. But how about I just tell these what they are? Because rectangle, 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 when all these rectangles matter, that's going to be hard to understand. So the text says this is my first text, so it's easy to find, but the rectangles don't. So let's give it, I know that the selected one is pink, so I'm going to double click on, with my fingers, not on the layer, but on the word. I'm going to double click on that word rectangle, double click, and then I'm going to change its name. And Y is my double click, there it is, and call this one pink, right? Of course, if later you change the name, that's not very good, but so I'm going to select that one, and I see that it's the yellow one, so I'm going to double click, and I'm going to make, for my other class, I made my mouse really big, but that's a problem here because it doesn't select very quickly. But anyway, for my math class, when I'm teaching people how to do that, I made it, my mouse, my pointer really big, but it just makes it really hard to select and do that. And now I'm going to go ahead and select the blue one, and I'm going to double click. You can also right click and rename. No, you can't. Doesn't let you right click and rename. Okay, so then you have to double click and change the name in there. That's the blue. Okay. And yeah, so who cares? It's just pink, yellow, and blue. Trust me, when you have as many layers as Moni had, you want to know that this is the box that holds this, or that's that, or, you want to be able to know how to name stuff. Okay, so everything I'm teaching you right now is identical to Illustrator and almost the same as Photoshop. The only thing that's different in Photoshop is the concept of layers. Layers is a whole different creature in Photoshop, but Illustrator and InDesign are exactly the same. So let's save this first project that we did. Oh, and by the way, since my text was written first, if I were to grab my text and bring it down here, I don't see my text anymore. Why? Because my text is at the bottom. So if I want to see my text, I need to drag it all the way to the top. Now my text is on top of everything. Okay? So everything shows up as if it were piled up on top of each other, like pieces of paper on a table. The bottom one, and if the text is at the bottom, well, sorry, can't see you. It's there, but I can't see you, so we need to bring it up to the top, okay? So once you're done with this, which is a very basic beginning explanation of how things work. And there's, we haven't designed anything yet. Let's save this file. Let's give it a Command or Control S. And, but before I ask that, did you guys do this correctly? Were able to rename your things and move your layers up, not your layers. And now you got me saying layers, Christina. Move your objects, your elements, your boxes, your rectangles, and your text up and down within layer 1. And if you close that little guy, you don't see your elements in layer 1. They're all held under that little triangle. If this has worked for you, give me a yes or ask me questions if it's not working. If there's anything you want to know.
My computer's very slow.
It's
For
so
some
weird.
unknown
You have a
reason.
new computer. It's so weird that it's so slow because this is taking note. So, okay, do you have many applications open?
No, just the ones for this class, and I have 32 gigabytes.
Well, the ones for this class, you mean you have Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and Bridge open?
No, I just have ID and Bridge.
Oh, okay. Phew. Because yeah, so just so you know, 32 megabytes is the minimum you need now to run Adobe. It's kind of scary.
32 gigabytes is the minimum.
Yeah, if you want to be able to run Photoshop in particular, it uses huge amounts of power. InDesign has always needed a lot too. Illustrator's a little bit less. Bridge doesn't take much to work. So what might happen is that as we go from program to program, you might need to be saving and closing some of the others, but definitely you're going to have to need InDesign open at the same time as Photoshop. Then you can close it and have InDesign open at the same time as in Illustrator and stuff like that. If InDesign is already running slowly now, if you have a PC, right?
Correct.
Because if it's a Mac, I know how to tell you to allocate more of those megabytes to Adobe, but I don't know how to do that in a PC. So I need to look into it because on the Mac you can go in and say that when these programs are open, allocate all of this much to use it for this program. Yeah, I don't know if that's all you have open, then it should all be going already to that program. So I don't know how to make that better on a PC.
How many gigabytes do you recommend for taking these classes or using all these
Well,
programs?
most people don't even have 32. Most people still have computers that have 8 or 16 or stuff like that. But as they become serious about it, they discover that if they need to upgrade, they might need to put in more RAM. This is RAM that we're talking about, you guys, everyone, gigabytes of RAM, okay? All these programs are using a lot of artificial intelligence now, and for the last 2 years, if you buy a new computer and you plan to do a lot of work and design, you need to buy a lot. Like my computer, the next one I'm going to buy, I'm going to put at least 64 in it, but that's because I use these all the time and it costs money. But I'd rather have more RAM than other stuff. But 32 should be fine. So that's why I'm surprised. 32 should be fine for these programs. I mean, it's minimum, but in the sense that minimum to be able to keep moving forward. So it shouldn't be slow. It's bizarre. If you have a new computer with now, when you say new computer means nothing. Maybe it's a new computer that's a very weak. Like what's the other settings? Like what's the processor? That kind of stuff. I don't know. Or is it a big power? Is it a powerful computer? RAM is not all that it needs. Like what is the processor and stuff like that? I don't know what to say. Um, yeah. Do you know later you can look up the settings and then share your screen with me. We can do it after a little bit, but yeah, maybe I can.
Okay.
It's you bought it. It's not like you can. I mean, if you just bought it, you can consider return it. Otherwise, it's the computer you have, is what I'm trying to say. It's not like you're going to go buy a second computer right now. So, but we need to work with within what you have and see how to work it better, which is definitely don't have anything like if you have the internet running because of Padlet, close the internet. That
Yeah.
especially if your internet has many tabs open, the biggest suck all of power is multiple tabs open on the internet. So if you have a browser open with many tabs, close that right now. That's like leaching power off of your computer. close all of that. And then anytime we need to go to the Padlet, I'll post the link, you open Padlet, post, and then close it. You know what I mean? And then
So
any other app you have running should be closed.
So do you mind if I ask, so in regards to our name DDT workspace, that will always be our workspace for this class? So we're
Well-
just gonna name files and the files are,
Yeah, so let me share my screen again. The workspace is independent of, hold on, I'm share. And I was going to show you guys how to save, but the workspace is independent. Let me actually get the link to this again, because what I just noticed is while I'm talking, I want everyone to do a screenshot of this first setup, but not any old screenshot. I want a screenshot where you are showing me the layers, okay? Which is what we're learning here. So I want you to open the layers, get this, you know, as close as possible, and then do a screenshot that includes the layers, all right? And the layout, sorry, not the layers, but also the layout of your, you know, this stuff, the fact that you've got all these open, all of that, because that's basically what we're practicing right now. So I want you guys to do a screenshot of that, okay? And then we're gonna go to the Padlet and post it before you guys get rid of your Padlet for the time being. And let's go ahead and create a, don't forget to put your name in there. And then we're gonna upload and we're gonna say InDesign. We created our own workspace and made 4 elements or objects that fit in layer 1 or something like that. You know, so we're beginning to know how to function. And by the way, this is where you might want to remind yourself that you need to do things like use the shortcut V to get the selection tool, for example, okay? Things like that. So this would be a good set of notes and then to publish, all right? Now you don't have to do all that right now. At this point, just post something. And then as I'm talking about stuff that you know, you can come back, you can hit the little edit thing that appears the moment you hover up here, and you can write a bit more about things that you remember that you might want to remember later about what it took to do this, okay? But at least get the post done. And then I'll go back to InDesign and I'll explain more about layers, properties, workspace, file names, and all that. And then I was going to have us save this, but I want to make sure that you're doing your Padlet post. But first, go ahead and do a little Command or Control S. And we're going to save on your computer. Now, if you're always going to save on your computer, which 99% of the times you should just click on the don't show again so that you just save. But I keep showing this because people have this message, so I each time have to say save on your computer. If you're at home with your own art, you just might want to say don't show again. And like first say save on your computer, don't show again, and then you don't have to do that choice each time. And then the name of the file is going to be first InDesign, something like that. First InDesign test or something like that. And we're going to make sure that we're saving it in the folder that it came from. Well, I have this set up because I already saved into here. If not, you're going to have to go find in your downloads folder, wherever that you put it, your folder. And then it will say as an InDesign document, and we're going to save. So if I go to Bridge right now, I will have in my Summer Design Techniques, I should have this new file. And here it is, first InDesign test. It just appeared in there. Now, I know that I probably am talking and making too many things happen. Basically, save your file, get a screenshot, and post it in Padlet. Once you've done all of those, or if you have a question about any of those, then either give me a yes or give me a no, and I will help you complete the steps. I stop my share for a minute while you guys work. All right, so looks like you got it, Amber. You got the post you said, and so this yes is whether you got the saved file and made your first post. I see there Rebecca and Amberly have posted. Let me know, Christina, if you need a hand with anything, because I spoke a lot and gave a lot of instructions all at once, which I don't normally do.
I have another question. You were saying how the internet uses up a lot of space. If I yellow it so it goes down to the bottom, is it still sucking a lot of energy?
Yeah, it still is. Just because you're minimizing it does not mean that it doesn't do.
Okay.
Okay.
But
So
if the only thing you have open is the Padlet, is that still sucking a lot of?
if all you have open is only the Padlet, then no, I mean, the issue is when you have a ton of tabs open, each one of those is being refreshed all the time. So if you only have one thing open, you're fine. If you begin to see that things slow down too much, then quit. But if no, Padlet is fine. But a lot of people open, they have the news, they have their Gmail, they have this, they have that, and they have like all these tabs. Each one of those is being constantly refreshed, especially if you're checking news or watching a movie and there's something that's streaming, you know, like even if you're not watching it right now, but you have it on pause. But all of that is being constantly refreshed, especially things like news, weather, things that need refreshing because weather changes, news changes. Those suck up ridiculous amounts of space. Does that make sense? So you want to have computer power, processing power. So that's what you need to do to minimize the sucking of power is close those tabs and leave only the tab that you need. That's fine. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So Christina, do you need a hand with any of these steps before we continue?
No, but when I did save the file and I went back into that folder, the summer 2025 digital design techniques, I have one of them that looks beautiful, first in design test. And then there's another one that same date and time, and it has a tilde in the front. Should that happen?
In the file or in the post?
And there's another file,
Okay,
same
share
name
your
with a
share your screen because I'm not sure.
oh,
Oh, in the bridge, you see a one with a tilde or in your file explorer? Where are you seeing it? Because yeah, when an InDesign file is open, that's what it does. Yeah.
you'll see it. Okay. All right.
But let me
So I
show
can stop
everyone.
sharing.
Let me no, don't because I want to show everyone. I wanted to show it. Hold on.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
share it again. That's okay. I was trying to share. There's things that when I use shares, not just for the person who shares, but I use it for teaching people. So if you can share that again, especially when you ask a question that I answer, then people need to know what did you say? So I need to show it. So over here in the File Explorer, okay, and this is for PC people, but it's the Finder window for Mac people. She's got the file right there with that little, like a little squiggle tilde, and then it says first in design file. And it's over here, it says type InDesign log file. That's just what the computer does when your InDesign file is open. Give it a try. Go to InDesign and close your file by going over here and quitting, no, just closing
sorry.
X. Go over here and close that file by clicking on that little X.
Okay.
Okay, now go to your File Explorer again. And find it. Oh, okay. You have to go for quite a bit.
There you go.
There we go.
There, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. It's just
Yes.
because it was open. So it's like a temp file. Now go ahead and double click this one to open it again, since it's the one that we need. And then if we keep watching, if you go really quick, go back there, you should be seeing one with a tilde again. So go
Okay.
click over here and see it. And that's all that is. Okay. All right, cool.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing. All right. Cool. So now, everyone's got this working. And by the way, that's the same on a Finder window. So while we're at it, let me show you that. I'm sharing all my windows, but the Finder window here is this is what it looks like on a Mac. Okay, so there, that just means that it's that file, that InDesign file is open and running right now, that little guy. Okay, so it's like a temp file that it's saving there until you see it, even though here is the actual file itself. Okay, so yeah, thanks for noticing that and for asking. All right, so to the question that you had about layers and workspaces, these are completely different things. Let me show you. These things are now part of, these elements are all part of this one document. If I were to print this, if this were a logo I just created, if this were a little postcard I just created, this is my first InDesign test file. If I close it, which everyone, let's close it now, and I make a new file, and let's just go with the print default, let's say create again. It's a completely new file, but my workspace is still there. I have nothing in my layers. It's an empty document. There's nothing there. My workspace comes with me. No matter what I open now, even if I open, and I'm going to close this because I don't need it, but if I go to Bridge and open, there's some other, and I want you guys to open an existing InDesign file right now. And where I have an existing InDesign file, I believe is here on the missing files and replace fonts folder. If you double click on there, here there's an InDesign file. Now we're going to open it. It's going to have problems, which is why it's here. But let's double click on that and notice that it says INDD. That's an InDesign document. That is the extension of our InDesign file. So I'm going to go in again in the folder called Missing Files and Replace Fonts. We're going to duplicate that folder, and then we're going to double click on Template by Fold Brochure, and we're going to open that up. And I'm going to stop here and have everyone tell me that you made it to this point before I explain all of these things. So tell me that you found it and you're mid-opening and you're here. And meanwhile, then look up here and notice that my workspace is still there. Deanna's DDT workspace. It's just called it that. You can do things of your own in it. All this is, I called it that just because it's my arrangement of tools, but you could have called it just Deanna. You could have called it anything. You could have called it the name of your dog. I don't care. It's an arrangement of tools that's suitable for you to start working in. That's all that is. If you prefer it, you switch it to something else. It's independent from your file. Okay. Now, as we try to open this thing, Amberly, did you find it? Is it working for you to open this file? I just checking in on you because you're the only on VDI right now, and I want to make sure VDI has the files. Amberly? Okay. When we're starting to open it, we're discovering that there's some problem. So the problems that we're finding is that it says 0 missing links, meaning there are no missing links, but there are 2 modified links. So we're going to talk about that in missing versus modified in a minute, but it just means right now, and let me go back to Bridge. This is how InDesign files work. The InDesign file has 2 photos in it. This one that we're trying to open. It has 2 photos in it. And thus, the InDesign file has a link pointing to these 2 files. They're not embedded in the document. Rather, when you open this one, these 2 have to be there as well on the same folder so that this guy knows to open these 2. So these are links within this document. When you open this document, you're just seeing a preview of these two, which are independent files that if you need to work on them, you need to work on them in Photoshop, for example, to make them lighter or darker or whatever. And then you see the preview. So this document is comprised of 3 files right now. So as I tried to open this one, it's telling me that these have been modified. Now, the modification that it's talking about is the fact that they are now in a different folder than they were when it got created. So it's not a big change. It's not like the photo now is green instead of red or something, and it knows where it is and nothing's missing. It's finding them. They've just been modified. It's letting you know. So we're going to go, sure, update those modified links. And then we're going to open it up partially, and then we're going to get another message. Because it said, oh, okay, thank you. So it's beginning to show you the document in the background, it's putting the photos in there. But now it's telling, wait a minute, this document is using a font that is not on your computer, or at least it's not available, or InDesign maybe doesn't support that font anymore. And there's been a whole change of fonts of what Adobe supports that it doesn't support anymore. Long story. You know, companies in the background making wheels and deals, but people have had to change a lot of the fonts that they own. If you just close this dialog box by saying skip, InDesign will substitute the missing fonts with a default font until the original becomes available. But what if the original never becomes available? And then it says, well, some of these fonts may be available from Adobe Fonts, Launch Adobe Create Applications, and Match Finding Fonts. So I'm going to explain to you what all that means. Right now, basically, it's saying this font that was created to make this template, I don't have it anymore. Do you want to substitute with a default font? I'm going to say no right now, because I want to show you what happens when you don't substitute a font. So I'm going to not replace fonts. I'm not going to enable Adobe Fonts. We're going to do that later. I'm just going to say skip. Now we said skip. Okay. So we did not modify that. And now I'm going to show you what I just did. Okay. I'm zooming in and I'm zooming out. Okay. To see things big and small. So how do we do that? I'm going to the Command key, and then I'm holding it down, Control key for Mac, or Control key for PC, Command for Mac, or Control for Amberly, who's on a Mac, but working inside of VDI. So you hold down the Command or Control key, and then you tap the minus, minus, minus to zoom out, or the plus, plus, plus. And those are like next to the delete key, next to the 0 of the numbers. Minus, 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 plus, plus, plus. So I'm zooming in and out. Okay. So if you zoom out enough, you'll discover that this is a 2-page design. If you're following and you're able to see this and you can move in and out and you did all of those, no, don't replace, and yes, update the link, but no, don't replace the fonts, give me a yes. Now we're going to do some more learning of InDesign with this document before we start creating something of our own and bringing our own photos. But first, I want to explain a bit more this relationship. Christina, how's it going? All good?
So I got a pop-up. They offered either available from Adobe Fonts or substitute with default font. Should I just say skip?
So we right now say skip.
Just say skip. Okay.
Want no other choices. We're going to get into that. We're going to see what happens. Right now,
Okay.
just skip. The reason I want you to say skip, because had we replaced it, everything would be fine and dandy, but we're going to learn how to make it fine and dandy. But right now, I'm going to show you the errors. See down here at the bottom? Right now, my computer is telling me that there are 22 errors. This pre-flight document, this is an important one to always keep an eye on. Those errors are the fact that the font is wrong. If I click on this little arrow, right, let me show you again with my, my little pink thing got in the way. But right next to where it says I need to, there, I needed to make a bigger, there we go. So next to where it says enter errors, there's this little tiny arrow. And when you click on that, you can open the pre-flight panel. Either that, or you can just double click on the 24 errors and 24 now. Okay. I said 22 before. And now I must have touched something and made something. And now we have over here, the pre-flight box. So I'm going to open that one again, pre-flight panel. And the pre-flight panel is showing me whatever is a problem. And we're going to constantly look at that. You can't send this to printer, to a client, anything while there are errors. You need to figure out where the errors are. And it says that there's 2 errors in my links and 22 errors in my text. The 2 errors in my links just appeared. Did I open a new one to show you this? I don't know. Anyway, so it says links and text. So links are the photos. Let's look at the document a little bit. If you've been able to zoom out or zoom in, you'll see that there's 2 photos. There's this photo and that photo, right? There's 2 photos. And what am I doing now to move this up and down? I'm holding down the space bar. Space bar gives me this little hand, and then I can just drag it, click and drag to move up and down to move around my document, okay? So space bar, move up and down, let go of the space bar, and nothing. Now, if I have my selection tool and I'm clicking around and I'm beginning to move stuff around, then I'm messing my design, right? So I'm going to do Command Z to undo those messes. And you don't want to, when you're in your selection tool, to click on stuff to move it, because then you're basically moving your design around. So when you want to just go up and down without affecting your design, you hold down the space bar so you can go up and down and you're not really touching the elements in your design. Does that make sense? Now,
It's not working for me.
what
Going up and down with, I can get the hand.
okay, well, if you're already seeing all of it, there's not much to go up and down on.
Ah, okay.
You do Command plus, be out, and then you can move around. So, but if you're out so much,
Yeah.
you see both things, then yeah, there's no where to go, so to say. So it doesn't work. But if you, once you're zoomed in a bit too much, then it would work. Okay, good point. All right, let me clear your feedback. So what's up with this error or pre-flight? And the idea is that before you take off the airplane, the pilots, I don't know, I'm not a pilot, but we always heard about a pre-flight check, make everything is working. This is before you send this to the printer, either your printer on your desk, but mainly it means the printer, like the company that's going to print your book or whatever. You got to do a pre-flight, make sure everything is working. And so it's warning you that, nope, there's 24 errors. The first set of errors is 2 links. Let's open that up. And it basically says that these are modified links. When I open it up, it shows me the 2 pictures that have been modified. And if you have like a 50-page document, it would say page 48, page, 25. In this case, all we have is pages 2 and 3. And what do you mean pages 2 and 3? Wait a minute. Aren't these just 2 pages? Why does it say 2 and 3? Well, nope, these are 4 pages. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll talk about that layout in a minute. But what it's saying that there's an error in page 2, which is this one, and then there's an error in page 3, which is that one. See that? So if I say that I did have 50 pages and I don't know, and I want to get to the error that is pointing to me, all I need to do is click on that. So I'm going to click on that number 3, and it took me to page 3. And it took me to page 3, and it selected the photo that has an error. See that? And then over down here, it tells me that I'm in page 3, which again, right now, it's easy to see there on page 3, but what if this is a 50-page document? How do you know that you're really on page 48, right? So down here, you would see the number of the page that you're in. And this is the photo that they're saying is a problem. And it's because the link has been modified. We're going to talk about how to fix that in a minute. Right now, I'm pointing out the errors. And then there's 22 text errors. And when you open that, there's 22 fonts missing. It's not that there's 22 different fonts missing. It's that there's 22 text boxes that hold that font, Alair regular, that don't have a font that's working. See the Alair regular, when I open it up, and now if I make this bigger, it's showing me that piece of text on page 1, that piece of text on page 2, these pieces of text on page 3, that piece of text on page 4. These are all the ones that hold that font. So if I go to one of them, for example, I'm going to click on this one. It brought me straight to this text, which, by the way, if I click away, it's just text. But if I click on it, it's selected, showing me, guys, this is the wrong text. This is a font that I don't have. So what do you mean you don't have? You're showing it to me. What do you mean you don't have it? Yeah, it's a preview. You can see it, but you're being warned by this. Otherwise, you wouldn't know that there's a problem here. If you just see it, it looks good. But you're being warned, the computer doesn't have this font from you. Go print, this will be all fuzzy. It's just not going to print well. Just because you're seeing it look good, you're seeing the photo look good, you're seeing the text look good, doesn't mean it's going to work when you go to the real printer. So that means we need to get that font and change it to something that their computer does own. So I'm going to show you later how to do all that. But most importantly, you need to pay attention to all these errors. Now, this error is easy to fix. We're going to just change all the Alair font to another font, and boom, 22 errors are going to be fixed instantly because it'll just switch. Does that make sense? We're going to change the font. And we could have done it at the beginning when it said, do you want to substitute Alair for something else? I could have said, yeah. And then we'd have 0 errors for that. Does that make sense? And
Deanna,
update these. Yeah.
I have a question. You have 24 errors. I have 49 errors.
Oh,
And it says text under the pre-flight. Text is
fine.
49 errors.
Probably have 2 different fonts that your computer doesn't have. Is there another one that it's go to open text and then open that missing fonts, and you probably have
Right. And it says for Allen Bold as 27 and Eller regular is 22.
so that's another font that you don't own, that I do own, it seems. So you have even more problems than me.
Correct.
That makes sense? So you have to replace 2 fonts. How about anyone else? Does anyone else doesn't not have some other font that they don't find?
I don't have links. My links are okay.
Yeah, I don't have links either.
Yeah, that's because I saved it and opened it again when I was showing you stuff, and this time I didn't update my links. So, okay. So that was me. See, when I told you guys say yes to the links, when I opened it a second time to show you guys, I said no that time, and so I still have the issue with the links, but you guys are fine with the links. But how about fonts? Does anyone else have more than Alair missing, like Christina has? So notice that it said on your computer. So when I have 20 students, I have other people who suddenly don't have another font or this font. Does that make sense? Because their computers don't have it. So that is individual to your computer is missing it. And so we need to fix that on your computer. So it's fine that it says 48. All we need to do is find replacements for both of those fonts, and then you'll be down very quickly to 0 because you don't need to replace each instance. You need to just replace the font with another font, and then all the instances of Alair replaced by a different one will be fixed at once. Does that make sense, you guys?
So the fonts don't come with the actual programs. They come with the computer.
They come, well, that's part of the conversation we're going to have right now. We have an entire day dedicated to just fonts and text and all that. But right now, the quick answer is no. Your computer comes with whatever computers you bought it, fonts you bought it, which is certain ones that are sold to the company that made your computer, and that's it. And any other font you need to either purchase, or if you already are purchasing the Adobe Creative Cloud, which you are, then you can go to the Adobe fonts, which is offering you like, I don't know, 1,000 or 7,000 fonts. I don't know how many thousands as part of that subscription. And you use one of those. And that message that said, do you want to go to Adobe fonts and change it for another one? That's what it meant. Here, I'm giving you this other font, but you need to download it onto your computer for it to work. So then your computer will have a new font installed in it that is part of the fact that you're paying for a subscription, and then it'll work. So you need to have the font in your computer for this to work correctly. which then brings us to, and this is usually the last day of class when we begin to say, okay, we're done with our piece we've created. We need to package it up to send it to the printer. And when I say printer, I mean you're sending it to someone else who's going to print maybe 2,000 copies of what you're making or 10,000 copies of what you're making. I'm not talking about your little printer and your computer and your desk, because all your little computer and your desk needs is for you to have it in your computer, and that's good. But when you send the piece out to someone else to print, they need that font as well. So you need to package up not only your InDesign and your two linked files, but you also need to have the fonts in here. You need to have the logos. You need to have everything that needs to go when it goes to the printer, including the fonts. That or a PDF. We're going to talk about the options, right? So if you send all this to a printer and they get those messages and they go, oh, well, she didn't give me the font, so I'm going to replace them willy-nilly, you could end up with something that looks like, let me just willy-nilly replace this font with that. They could have, they might replace it from what it used to be with something that looks like that. And that's not what you wanted. Or they could replace it with something that looks like, and I'm just throwing out whatever. They could replace it with something that looks like that. And you're stuck with it because they replace it with whatever they thought was appropriate, which is completely inappropriate. So you need to do the correct replacement for something that works just as well as the original and send them the fonts. Does that make sense, you guys? Fonts need to be in the computer as that's making the design, and then the printing company needs to have that same font. But here's the thing. You are the one who's paying for your Adobe subscription. So you have the rights to use that font. But when you send it to the printing company who's going to use it to print, they have to use it and then they have to trash it because they only have the rights to use it for printing, but they can't keep it because these are copyrighted fonts that you pay for. You might want to use Adobe fonts. Well, you're paying them with your subscription. Or you might use some other company's fonts and another company, you have to buy it from them. These are designers design these fonts, and it's like saying, I'm going to use someone's photo that they took of Mount Everest. You need to pay them for the rights unless you got it from a free stock place that's, all of that. But you have to make sure that you can use it commercially. There's all these rights and regulations that we're going to be learning about in this class. But one of them is the fact that fonts are designed by font designers who make a living by designing fonts, and they need to get paid for you using it. And so you can't just give your fonts away to other people for free. If this ends up being in a commercial situation and someone can trace that you haven't paid, you could get legally in trouble. Anyway, so that said, you need to make the choice of what font you want and not the company, right? So you need to send them the right font. So we're going to learn how to fix all of this. Right now, we're just seeing the systems. So let's figure out where those links are. Mine have to be modified, yours don't. And I see over there that that Amberly said same. She had more missing fonts, but two of you already said you don't have the missing links because I had you fix that from the beginning. So let's close the pre-flight panel. We're not fixing anything here. We're learning what the problems are. At most, we can go to the problem text and see which one it is. I'm going to go to page 4 and it's going to show me which one it is. But other than that, let's close the pre-flight panel. And how do you do that? This little X. If I want to open it again, I would just go back here and open it again. But now I know what's not working. I need to go fix it. And what do you mean about links? Well, this photo I'm seeing as a preview, and this photo I'm seeing as a preview. So these need to be linked correctly. And if I select this photo, again, I'm doing everything with a selection tool. If I select this photo and I go to the links panel, in my case, it's telling me that I haven't updated them, as if when we opened them, I had said no, because I did say no, even though you said yes. So for you guys, these should look good. For me, it's showing me a problem. So I need to double click on this little guy here and boom, I fixed it, and boom, I fixed it. So in this case, the fix was easy. It's been updated. And look at my errors. If I go now and I go to my free flight panel, I do not have any more link errors. That's all it took for me to fix that. And now I only have my text errors. And I'm down to 22 missing fonts. Why? Because I chose one of them and I used a different font, which is weird, but I chose it. So the computer assumes that's good that I chose that. And so that one's been dealt with. I have 20 more to deal with. Does that make sense? Even though that isn't a good font and we can see. So it's not going to tell me, oh, you chose a bad font. No, it just wanted a font that my computer had. I chose a horrible font. But as far as the computer is concerned, that's not an error. That's a font my computer owns. So I'm down to only 21 errors now. Does that make sense? Because I changed one. Now that's not going to work. I'm not going to go around changing each one individually. What I need to do is download a font and change and replace the Alair regular or whatever the other one that you guys have. I think you said it's Alair bold, and replace them all. Okay. But this double clicking on that took care of my missing my link to the my link error, All right, so now we're just jumping into all of this, seeing how these things work without really having an idea how we would create this. And my goal, I'm going to show you a little bit of work like this and existing templates, but the most important thing for me is to teach you from scratch how to make this, because working with a template doesn't teach you how to really use InDesign versus making this thing from scratch. Okay, so we're going to be making some things from scratch, but I'm just showing you where these things show. I have one more place to show you of all the things that we put up there. The second one is the pages. So let's open the pages. And this is where you can see that you had 4 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4. This, if I double click on this little guy, it jumped over to show me that one. If I double click on that one, it's hard because I haven't zoomed out. So let me zoom in quite a bit. And then it'll be more obvious that if I double click on page 1, it jumped to page 1. Double click to page 2, it jumped to page 2, 3. And then let's look down there, 4, and see how it's showing me page 4. It's showing me down here that I'm in page 4. Back to 1, I'm in page 1. Okay. Well, is that the only way to navigate? First of all, we're going to create some new documents here to talk about how to navigate. You're going to see more. But no, I could also just navigate from down here. I could click on this arrow and go to page 1 like that. Click on this arrow, go to page 4. Click on this one, go to page 3. Or I have little forward, and I can go down these little arrows down 3, 2, 1, and 1, 2, 3, which again, with 4 pages seems almost like, why? You can just do that. But what if you're going from page 20 to page 45? Then you can just go over here and quickly choose page 45, click on it, and you're at page 45. Does that make sense, you guys?
Mhm.
If all of this that I did show you right now for pages is working, and again, you open it and you close it from clicking and clicking, or you open it and you can always close it from the double-headed arrows that are there. Any of these, those double-headed arrows, close your panel, or just click on it and then click on it again. Click on it again, or double-headed arrow to close it up. All right, so if there's any questions about this, let me know. Otherwise, give me a yes that you were able to do it and it's working and you're able to navigate.
My pre-flight panel is in paragraphs.
What do you mean it's in paragraphs?
Well, when I click on pre-flight panel, it's the paragraph opens up and it's a separate
Like this is paragraph, like maybe it got grabbed as a second tab, maybe it got put in there by mistake. So this is what you mean? You have it like that? That's weird. Just grab the word pre-flight.
yeah, that's probably what happened.
Yeah, so drag
I drag it out and I can get rid of it.
the pre-flight word out so that that's into one tab and then you can get rid of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, all these things, that's the thing. Everything is so modifiable. I could want the pre-flight panel always open, and I can say that I want it open all the time, and then I'll just grab it and I'll just stash it in there, for example, so that I can go to it whenever I want. So things are very modifiable. I only use a pre-flight panel at the end. I'm always looking at down here every time I'm doing stuff. I'm keep checking. Oh, I didn't mean to have the pre-flight be off. I'm always checking for error. I didn't mean to turn it off. Because if I'm working and then suddenly I look down and usually you'll see 1 error, 2 errors. I'm like, where's that? I'll go check. prefab panel, click on that. Oh, I didn't notice that I had done that wrong or whatever, right? And so this is a good one to keep an eye. But it only fixes certain things that are technically wrong. There could be other things that are wrong, like putting this font there, and it's not going to show you that that's a problem. It's just things that are technically wrong with the file that are going to come up here. All right. And only certain ones. It's not like it'll fix all your problems, but in particular, missing links for sure, missing fonts for sure, because that's what you can't print without having those things be there. And there's a couple of other things it shows you, but that's the main thing that it shows you. Missing links and missing fonts. Okay. Now let's go back and remember zooming in and out with Command plus, Command minus. What if I want to fill my screen with this page? I go Command or Control 0. And then it's not filling the screen with your page. I'm seeing only half. Nope, it's showing you that page. I was in page 2 and it's showing me the whole page, even though this is the midline. It's put in the center of the page, your page 2. If I go to page 1, it's centering the page on page 1. Does that make sense? Like the center is there. If this were empty, this is centered. Page 1 is centered. So that's why you hold the space bar and you drag it to the middle, Command minus a little bit, drag it to the middle until you can see the entire spread that you're working on. Okay. You can go over here where it says 50% and you can say, well, 25% is too small. 50% is too big. How about I see it at 40%? You type in a 40 and you hit return. And now you go, finally, I can see the entire spread. So, but that'll depend on your computer. Like for me, 40 shows me the entire spread. But for you, you might need a different number because it depends on your screen resolution. It depends on your screen size. It depends on so many things, right? So, well, 40% was good enough for me to see the whole, I'm trying to fix my screens that I'm sharing. For you guys, whatever you write in here might be different. So again, I went into that number that says a percentage and I typed whatever I wanted. I'm going to type 15% now, but it doesn't happen until I hit my return or enter key. Boom. Now it went down to 50%. Now I'm going to go in there and do 45% and hit return. And I can almost see the two edges, but not completely. Well, yeah, actually, I do see a little bit on the sides. So this gray space is called my workspace. And yeah, I see enough. Sorry, it's called the pasteboard. This is your pasteboard. And I see enough around it that I'm seeing my entire spread of page 2 and 4, 3 and 4. And here's my entire spread of page 1 and 2. Okay, so give me a yes if you've been able to move things in and out, see the entire double spread, see one side, see another side using all these different tools, either by going 1, 2, 3, 4 there, either by changing that or by going to the pages and double clicking and going that way to the pages. And my pages panel right now is very big. Remember this, without clicking on any icon, you can put your mouse on the bottom of any of these and extend them, which when you have 25 pages, you're going to want to do that. But for now, we don't need that much, just showing you how to manipulate that because all we have is 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. How are we doing, guys? Any questions before we continue? Oh my God. I haven't given you a break. Is it that late? I can't believe
11:30 almost.
Yikes. Well, how I completely forgot to give you guys a, did my alarm not ring or did I ignore it? Okay, let's take a break. I was like, are we near break? And it's been hours. Okay, sorry about that. So let's take 15 minutes. So let's see, what time is it? Be back at, what time is it right now? 11:24. So let's say
And I make it 40.
11:40. Okay, so 11:40
You
a.m.
gotta call your husband.
I know, I know. I completely spaced out on the time. Okay, see you guys in 15.
Okay.
All right, and we're back. Sorry, I was running 25 things happening in the background. But anyway, here we go. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for joining us. I know that you might have been sitting there for a while waiting to be let in, and we were on break, so I don't know if you're there. So when people come up during break and you know, you might have been sitting there for 15 minutes, waiting for me to let you in if you came in at the beginning of the break, or maybe you just arrived. So
Oh, I've been here for a little bit, but that's fine. At least I made it. I was out of town and I didn't take my laptop. So
Oh,
I'm home now.
all right. Well, welcome back. Well, I noticed that you hadn't been in any of the classes, and I was about to check in on you going, are you okay? I just, because when someone's not there and not communicating, I'm like, are they in the hospital or something? I was like, ah. So anyway, I'm glad that you were just out of town and that you're fine.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's all. My brain, I'm like, okay, Barbara,
I'm okay.
dead.
Getting old, forgetful.
It's how it goes. Yeah, we're all getting there. But anyway, hi. Um,
That brings up a question for me.
yes.
In the fall classes, I won't be able to make the first couple classes. Should I still sign in and how do?
Yeah. Sign up anyway. Then email me when you see my welcome. You just email like, hey, I'm traveling or I'm this, I'm that. Let me know, and I just will know not to expect you.
Well, but I'm going to be on a cruise ship, so I don't know if.
Can't even email. Well, let me know when you sign up. Let me know. I'll hopefully remember. You're right.
Mhm.
Or sometime like when you are off on your in the
When
minute
I've got Wi-Fi, then send the information.
you can, or you can just um how do you call it? Just like, hope that I remember now that what you told me in September, what you told me now. I probably will. It's okay. But if at any point you connect to an email or to something and you see my email, just let me know. I'm not here. But it's not a big deal. Okay, give me a second because I need to take this call. Just 1 second. Sorry, you know me, I don't normally take calls. Sorry, guys. You know how I came back saying sorry I took a bit too long? Long story short, I've been gone for 2 months. And when I came back, a lot of different things happening in the house. My two teenagers were here, which by the way, they're great kids, but they also had uh things that I've been fixing. But the biggest thing that happened, and not that I want to share sad things, but my dog passed away,
Oh,
which
best friend.
when I was gone, and it's don't want to go into that or I'll start crying, but this happened when, about 15 years ago, my other dog passed away. These were not very flea-bitten dogs, but they had some fleas. And when he was on his, you know, let's say deathbed, my son used to put him on his bed with, he was incontinent. So he'd put this like dog diapers on him and stuff and put him on his bed while he was working and would pet him while he worked. And the whole point is that 2 weeks after he passed away, or 3 weeks is when I came back, and Joaquin's showing me all these mosquito bites, and like, we don't have mosquitoes. And it turns out that the fleas had taken over his room because a couple of fleas on his bed, dog is gone, fleas have nowhere to go. And now suddenly they're all born again, right? And like all these little eggs, I guess, were born and they started attacking him. So now I tried everything, all the gentle things, diatomaceous earth, clean, vacuuming. So now we actually put a little fog bomb on in it. And So he was doing that and he couldn't figure out how to do it. So I had to go help him. This was happening during break. So now we just set it up and now everyone's out of there. So anyway,
That happened to my dog. I
Yeah.
took her for a walk through the neighborhood and the park, and she was covered with fleas. So I'm still covered with bites. I take her to the beach and she doesn't get fleas.
yeah, it's the season, and every time we washed him, he'd get, he'd have 3 or 4 fleas, but it wasn't like he was a flea-ish dog. But that's it. Those little fleas have nowhere to go, and they start reproducing, and suddenly the room is just like jumping in fleas. And I'm hoping it doesn't go to the rest of the house. So we're trying to treat his room is kind of behind the garage. It's separate enough that hopefully we can just treat his room, and we'll see. Anyway, that was my fun break. Sorry, but I was explaining why when he called, he's like, the thing isn't staying on. I was like, close the door. I can't be in there anymore. Seal the room. Anyway, so yeah, it is a hard to come home in that sense, but anyway. So Barbara, right now we're about to go and start from scratch something new. So Open Bridge, you can download the class files, otherwise don't worry for now. Just we're gonna start from scratch right now in a couple of things, but we had opened a file that you might have. If you still have files from another time that from this class, you might have. Otherwise, just watch for a little bit. I'm sharing my right now what I have open is InDesign and Bridge. Here we go. So we had this file open, which if you go to your Bridge from other digital sign techniques class that we've had, that folder was there. It's called Missing Files and Replace Fonts. So if you find any of that, this one I've had kind of as a sample file for quite a while, and these in my other files, that one doesn't. If so, then we've opened this document. Anyway, I'll let you catch
Thanks.
up.
I think I'm unfamiliar with my computer right now, so
Oh, you have a new computer? Or you
no, I
bought
just
your-
haven't used it in over a month.
That's fine. Yeah, all these vacation heads. That's okay. Just watch for a little bit and then I'll help you figure things out. Just open Bridge if you can. Well, you don't have the cloud. Maybe see if you can find any old cloud files. Okay.
Deanna,
Yes.
when I press Control Plus to increase the screen size inside
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
object styles, that appears.
Okay. Can you share your screen to see what's happening?
Okay, so
There, it's in there. Coffee beans. Magazine. There it is.
you see that?
So close object styles, and then we'll see how they appeared. So hover over that, close it. Yeah. Now, what did you do for them to appear? Go ahead and do whatever you did.
Press Control Plus, which you said to
Oh.
increase the size of the screen.
That is weird. Okay, so close it again. Make sure that there's nothing you're selecting. Like click on the pasteboard. Like select maybe something so that we know that there's not something else. Just select something. I don't care. Click on that. Yeah. Now hold down the control key. Make sure it's the control one.
Uh-huh.
And now do it one more time. Do plus. Huh. Okay. Of all things that would ever open with a control plus. Now the plus that you're using, is it the one that's by the numbers, or are you doing a
Oh,
number?
I know what it is now. Okay, I got it now.
thing? What was it? Just so that I know.
It was the volume because this is a new keyboard.
Oh, so it wasn't plus, it was the volume key. Got it.
Okay, got it.
Now
Okay.
we know that control volume opens your object styles. Which is not
Exactly.
something you'll ever need a shortcut for, but good to know.
Thank you.
Those hidden shortcuts that we never knew what they did.
We don't have digital design.
Okay, so all right. So now we can mess this template up a little bit. Oh, let me share my screen. Again, here we go. Okay, so what I want us to do now is to kind of, we're going to mess this a little bit, right? But it's just to get an idea of certain things that are happening so that we can understand them. And first of all, as you can see, let's grab this word that says interior design. As you can see, it's a headline. If we look to the right side here in the bottom, it'll tell me that it's Alair is the font size Alair bold, metrics, all that kind of stuff that are in here. What would happen if I were to now make this box I'm in my selection tool, okay? What would happen if I were to make this box bigger? Nothing is happening. What if I make it smaller? The words disappear. Why did the words disappear? They just don't fit anymore. So if you make it bigger, it doesn't matter. It's just untidy because then it's hard to grab that one. But if you make it too small, then, oh, hold on. Here we go. Then if you grab it and make it too small, like inside of the size of interior design, then it boom, disappears. And then disappears because there's no space for it to display. Then do you see that little red little box with a plus sign that appeared right there? That, sorry. I apologize, I'm laughing. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my son just wrote to everyone, do not go into the room, there's a bomb in there. So my other guy just texted, out of context, that's a very alarming sentence. I'm sorry. I was just like, I just see it out of the corner of my eye. That is very alarming sentence. Okay. So I was just trying to show you that there's no red little box in here. I'm going to get up closer even. But when I make this a bit too small and the text doesn't show, it's not an empty box. This little tiny red box there is showing me that there's something in there that is not able to be displaced. And this is called offset text. That's an error. If I look down here, now I have a new error. I used to have 21, now I have 22 errors. And if I open my errors, my pre-flight panel, I will see that, not overset text. One of them is overset text. And that's the text frame on page 2. And if I double click on that, it'll bring me to that text frame to show me which is the one that has overset text. So now I'm going to fix that by making it a little bit bigger and see how that error disappeared. So now I'm going to make that error again by making it a bit too small, and then that error appears over there. You see that again, you guys? Now, you don't need to have the pre-flight panel to know that because you see the little plus sign, but just showing you that as soon as there's one of those mistakes, boom, it pops in there under the errors message and fix that again. Okay, if you were able to create that overset text and fix it and see it in the pre-flight panel, give me a yes. So, Barbara, if you have InDesign opened up, go ahead if you don't, but if you have,
You know what? I don't even have it on my computer. I'll have to go to Adobe and download it.
oh, okay,
So
so,
I'm just watching, but thank you.
okay. So, but go ahead and while we're talking, you can go to your Creative Cloud. And if you haven't used your computer for a while, you might need to do some updates on the programs that you have. And I know you have Photoshop and Bridge, and then maybe you can download it meanwhile. So you're ready for next in Illustrator. There's probably updates to both your Photoshop and Illustrator by now.
In my mail, there's a link to the videos, isn't there? And then I can catch up.
There's a link in the mail of how to get to the class handouts. And in the class handouts, yes, you will have next week when you go to next week, by tomorrow, when you go to the digital design techniques folder, this one is the class files. You can right click and download it. And this will show you the links to the class recordings. And we've only had
Thank
one class that you've
Now
missed.
can't try to catch up.
That class that you missed was mainly getting people set up with the applications. So not that much happened. We went into Photoshop, which you do know. So you might want to just watch the last part of it. And then you'll have to watch all of today because today we've been working. Okay. So
Thank you.
today. Okay, you're welcome. All right. So guys, I'm saying this because Barbara's a student in my other classes and she has a handle on the basics of all these other programs, even if not this particular one. Okay. So so was everyone able to recreate the overset text and then fix it? Yep, I'm seeing yeses from everyone. Okay, I'm gonna clear your feedback. Okay. So that we're gonna talk again, we're going to get detailed into each one of these things I'm bringing up right now as an overview. We're going to just spend a lot of time just on text, a lot of time just on the images, a lot of time just giving you an overview of how things work in the program. Now, what if this thing here is a logo? This logo here, okay, is coming from somewhere, and it's interesting. I didn't see it in the links. I guess it's not a logo that's linked. Oh, okay. So this is a sample one. They've embedded it. Okay. So this is a sample file that I got from a sample file place, from a template place. And what they did is they've embedded the logo. But this normally, a logo would come as a separate file. It wouldn't be embedded or created in the program. It would be a link like this image. So what do I mean by a link? See how now that I'm look at the links page. I've opened the links, by the way. Look at how when I click on this, that one gets highlighted because I'm on that one. Okay. So when I go over here and I'm going to open this a little bit more, I'm getting a lot of information about that file. If I want to get information about the other one, I click on that. And this information here is the file name, what type of file it is, page it's on, what's the color space, size, PPI and effective PPI. We're going to talk about actual PPI and effective PPI in a minute because that is important to us. Not in a minute, next week when we're going to spend a lot of time of understanding that, date, all that kind of stuff. Now, it was modified and look at the date. It says 1979. So it's like, okay. But it was placed in this document on 2025. So this is when it was created, I guess, whoever made that photo in 1979. I doubt it. That's probably a fake size. And it's scaled 35%, meaning this is a much bigger file and we're only seeing about 35% of it. But what matters right now, let me address this point. Effective PPI is the PPI, sorry, I need to turn on here we go. Effective PPI right there. It turns off when I draw on it, but let me put it up again. There we go. That is how many pixels per inch this file has right now if we were to go print it. I'll tell you about actually pay in a minute, but if we were going to print it. So if those of you who read the handout or who know about PPI, tell me, is that enough for this to be a good print?
Yeah, it should be pretty good.
Okay, Barbara says yes. Rebecca nods no, or not nods, but shakes her head saying no. I want people to give me a yes if you think it's good, a no if you think it's no. So everyone has to vote.
What?
Yep, that's a good PPI. If I'm going to print this, give me a yes. Nope, that's not a good PI. If you're going to print this, give me a no. And do that with, I don't know if you remember, Barbara, but go to the, let me stop my share. It's easier for you to find it. Go down to where you have all the little buttons and the react button has a heart. And if you click on that, midway, you'll see the green check mark for yes and the red. Yeah, go down a bit lower. Those thumbs up are great, but keep going down where you see a big heart. And then under that, you'll see a green check
Oh, God.
and a red X. So red X means yes and check mark means no. Okay, so we have some different choices in here. And let me say that
Possible.
whoever chose no is correct. This is not a good size for printing. Because, and let me go back to InDesign. Here we go. Because we need, the golden rule is 300 PPI. So we're still 100 away from that. Okay. Now, is that horrible to print it at 200? Yeah, I'm going to say that it's going to look like not a good, very good photo, but it's not gonna look horrendous. It's not gonna look like, oh my God, this is a huge mistake. It's just gonna not look really good. Because the minimum you should choose if you really are gonna print something that's gonna be this is a brochure, something to be looked at, you pick it up and you read it like this, then the minimum would be about 250. Okay, I never did anything under 260. So yes, it's not 300, but it could be 260, but it's 202. So we're still short. Okay. Now that means that whoever put in here this, they made this is a template, and they put in a template photo for you to fix, but they didn't mean for you to use this photo. So they're using a a template photo. But when we bring in a photo, we got to make sure that the PPI here is 300. Now, the difference between effective PPI and actual PPI is that this photo that we're bringing in, if we go to here to Bridge and look at it, I think it's this one, it's set up as 72 PPI. So here we're at Bridge, we're selecting that photo, and we can read that some metadata right in here in the file properties. We can read the metadata down there. It says resolution 72 PPI. And here we are seeing a little summary of that metadata, and it says 72 PPI. Now, if the photo is big enough, then by changing the ratio of these things in Photoshop, we can get it to 300 PPI. But it might not end up being, look what it says here, dimensions in inches, 32 inches by 21 inches. So right now, it's telling me at 72 PPI, this thing is 32 by 21. 32 inches, that's huge, right? 32 by 21. So how can it be in here so small? It's because as you squished it in to be smaller, and let me see, this, by the way, as you can see, is not in inches. Remember how I just showed you? You do it, right click on the corner of the arrow, and not able to get my right click, and then let's switch it. It's in millimeters. Let's go back to inches. So this photo, when I select it, it's 11 by 7. So here's the box over here. And let me say when I say over here, when I select the box that has the photo, okay, then it tells me that it's an 11 by 7 little box. Okay. When I click away, it has no sizes there. And I select it again, 11 by 7. I'm having a lot of like feedback. I think, Christina, it's you, since you have two computers.
Yes, that's a school issued computer
Okay,
that is having difficulties.
that's weird. Okay, no, actually, you only have one connection though.
Right, that's my private computer.
Yeah, so the other, maybe you have to, go ahead and mute yourself on this one so that we don't pick up the feedback, and then when you need to speak, you need to unmute yourself, okay? Because otherwise I think someone's talking, then I go, no, it's not one. It's small, but it's there. Okay. So anyway, so here I have my width and height for this box is 11.5 by 745. But since the photo in Bridge was set up to be 32 by 21, what's happening is it's been made smaller to fit into here, right? And it's being made smaller, it's been scaled down, and I can read it all. I'm just reading the information to see what the information is telling me. And this information is telling me it's been scaled down the photo 35% to become 11 by 7. So when you squish those pixels in to become smaller, you raise the effective PPI. Does that make sense? You raise it to 200. So we're going to play around with that a little bit now and see how that works. So if the actual PPI was 72, but by squishing that photo, it's now become 202. What would it take? How much smaller does it need to be to get this to turn out to be 200 and say if 50 is our minimum, 260, right? So how do we do that? We're going to go grab, I'm going to close this out so we can look at just this photo here for a second. Let me drag it and move it out of the way. So now we can see both at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to grab this box and I'm in my selection tool still. Okay, and I'm going to grab the corner of this box, one of the corners, it doesn't matter which. And I'm going to hold down the Command and the Option key, or Control and Alt key, and I'm going to make this really, okay, no, that didn't work. It's the, is it the Command and Shift? I need to see what the shortcut is because I haven't done this in a little bit. Okay, it's Shift. Okay, so it's the Command and the Shift key for the Mac. It's the Control and the Shift key for the PC. And I'm making it much smaller. I'm reducing the whole photo. And when it's this size, 7 by 4, now it says the effective PPI is 312. And there's the scale. Now I'm going to make it, again, holding the Command and the Shift key, or Control and Shift key. I'm going to open it up a little bit. Now the effective PPI is 240. See how the effective PPI keeps changing, although the actual PPI stays there? So if I make it much bigger, now it's only 129 PPI. And I have only scaled it 50%. So basically, as you make the photos bigger and smaller, now it might be better to demo this in just with the photo itself without all this other stuff that might get you confused if you're new to InDesign. But I'm just trying to focus on the photo. What we can do is we can make a new document to make this a little bit easier. So let's do that. Let's make File, New Document. Okay, File, New Document. Let's go to Print. And right now, let's just say yes to the one that we've been using all this time. If you wanted to switch it to inches now, or you can switch it to inches later. Let's say Create. Once you have the new document created, let's clear the feedback, and we're going to do a similar thing that we were doing, but we're going to do it just clean on this document without all the other stuff. So let me know when you have a new document created, and I'm going to show you how to bring in an image and link it. And then next week, we're going to be talking about what do we do with those links and how we handle them. But for now, let's just link it, put it in here, and begin to change their sizes. Okay, so Rebecca, you have a new document. Everyone else? Christina, Emberly, Moni. Kristen's not here, even though you see her name, she's not actually here. Okay, Amberly and Christina, new document.
I'm still working on it.
Okay, so basically just File, New, and then Create, because it'll recreate the last one that we made. So that's all that needs to happen. Okay, so we need to put that photo in here. How do we do that? We're going to place that photo. So how do we place? We're going to go to File, Place, or the shortcut is Command or Control D. We're going to say File, Place. And we're going to have to go find our folder that contains our photos. And we're going to have to find this image. Now, there's also a way to do this with Bridge and just dragging it in. But right now, the typical way, File, Place, we need to go to Digital Design Techniques. I don't know why I have them by date. That makes no sense. Let me change it to none. Okay. So into the folder called Missing Files and Replace Fonts, then this is that image that we need to place. So right now, once you find it, I'll say open, and it's going to be hanging on my hands like this, ready for me to place. I'm going to hit escape because I'm going to show you. Since I have Bridge in here, I could have also had Bridge next to each other, grabbed Bridge over here, which right now is sitting on top of it. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I can just drag it like that and let go, and it's ready to be placed. Okay, so you can either say File, Place, find it, select it, open, and it'll be basically at your fingertips, ready to be placed. I haven't placed it yet. Or you can just drag it in from Bridge. Boom. And when you're here, it's at your fingertips. Okay, so one way or the other, we end up with an image on our fingertips ready to be placed. I'm going to clear your answers and tell me yes if you have a photo ready to be placed at your fingertips. Now, if perchance you actually clicked because, you know, you're new at this and you didn't know and you actually clicked, whoa, this humongous image just got dropped. What do you mean humongous? Yeah, let me do command minus, minus, minus. So everyone please do that. Look at this huge thing. Now, why is it so huge? Because what we just placed, reminder, back to Bridge, is actually, in case you don't remember, it's 32 by 21. That image that I placed from Bridge is 32 inches by 21 inches, and we're bringing it in to an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, so it's overflowing. Does that make sense? If this makes sense to you, I'll teach you how to fix it, but if this makes sense to you, then give me a yes. And if you were able to do it, then give me a yes. Meanwhile, we're going to delete that by hitting the delete key, and we're going to do it better. Okay, so I have a place. I did Command D, open. If all I do is click, that photo comes in all its glory. It comes in at 32 inches by 20 whatever inches. And so if this is 8.5 by 11, well, then you need like many pieces of paper to contain it. Does that make sense now? So let me show you what the solution is. We're going to select this box and hit delete, and we're going to file place again. And I'm going to do Command or Control D. And this time, instead of clicking, I'm going to just click and drag. Now I brought it in really tiny, because I controlled what size it comes in at. I'm going to hit delete again, file place again. I'm going to bring it in, and this time I want it to go from side to side of this piece of paper.
Does it stay at the same pixels per inch when you do that?
No, that's what I'm going to show in a second.
Okay.
Great question. It does not. But now I'm controlling what size it shows up as. Now, I don't need to hit delete each time. I can just do undo, which is Command Z, and it hangs out in my hands again. So now I'm going to just click on it again, just single click, boom. I get a humongous image. Command Z to pick it up. Click and drag a tiny little box. That's as big as it gets. Command Z. Click and drag and make it as big as the thing. Command Z. Practice. Placing at different sizes. And now, in response to Barbara's question, I'm going to open the links and I'm going to do this big old place by just clicking. And look at that. Effective PPI and actual PPI 72. Any scaling? No, no scaling. That's when you just click. I'm going to Command Z to undo, and now I'm going to place it really small. And it says that it's scaled. I'm only seeing it at 9%, and my effective PI is 800. Because all those pixels have been squished into something that's only 2 by 1 inches or 3 by 2 inches. See that there? Command Z. Now I'm going to make it much bigger. And now I'm at 300 effective PPI. The same photo, depending on what size I'm trying to make it print at, is giving me different PPIs. Now, I'm actually going to delete that, and I'm going to show people step by step how to do this. Right now, I just wanted you guys to understand what happens with that photo when it's at that same photo, which if I do nothing to it, is showing itself to be a 32-inch by a 21-inch image. I can control what size it shows up at in this image by how I place it. I'm going to clear your answers. I know that Rebecca had said no. Let me show you this one more time. If you have anything on the image, delete everything, and let's do it one more time. And then after that, I'll help people one by one if it's not working. Go ahead and make your size Command minus so that it's pretty small so that we have some control. Oh, like we can see the entire window. Like Command minus your way to make it a tiny, tiny window. And then let's do File Place. Command D, Control D. Find the image that I want. And then say Open. And now it's sitting in our hands, ready to be done something with. Now, you can either click or you can click and drag. When you just click, the image comes in as the original image. So I'm going to just click, and this image comes in as 31 inches by 20 inches. So I'm only seeing a little bit of it within the frame of my 11.5 by 7 windows. Is that piece make sense to you? Do you understand what's happening there? Okay, Rebecca's nodding, Barbara's nodding, Amberly and Christina, that part makes sense? Christina, how are we doing? Have you been able to replicate just this piece? Placing and
It took a long time for me just to create the blank
that is so weird. You
page. I know.
so
Um,
I really don't know what to
but
I think you need to do something in the settings of your computer to make digital. You might want to call Adobe and say, listen, I just installed this and my computer's new and I have 32 gigabytes. What's happening? What should I be modeling? You might also want to do some Googling and say on a PC with 32 gigabytes memory, why is InDesign working so slowly? And see if there's any setting things that you need to change. Again, I know how to tell you to do that in the Mac, but I wouldn't know on the PC what the internal settings need to be to have them allocate that memory to your InDesign. I can't imagine it's that slow that you can't even.
I just want to make sure. I'm going to go to Bridge, click on the photo.
Okay, if you want to do it that way, go to Bridge, click on the photo and drag it in. There's two ways, right? And you can just drag it in, just literally here, let me.
I won't be able to drag it in.
Okay, so then don't. Yeah, that works for people who like to drag, but just go to File and Place.
Okay, so I'm trying to find file. If I click on the photo,
Okay.
where is the file?
Bridge. You're in InDesign. You're trying to place the file. So go to InDesign.
Okay, go to InDesign. Okay. Oh, I see. File, open.
File, place. We are placing
Ah,
image
got it.
into our document. We're File, Place. So then it'll open up your File Explorer in your case, and you have to go find your folder where you have the files.
Right.
Bridge is easier as if you know if you know how to find it. Here you have to
Oh,
go
I see it. Okay, so now we're going to double click.
double click, yeah, or click and open, either way. And then now it's hanging out in your fingertips, so to say.
Right, it's huge.
Well, right now, unless I click, it's not anything. It's just hanging there. Once I click, boom, it comes in humongous because it's coming in as a 32-inch by 21-inch file. Okay. Why? Because that's the size that photo was created. Now, I will teach people in Photoshop, and I do in my Photoshop class, and I will do it here, how to right size that image because there's no need for it to be this way. In Photoshop, I could have already resized it to be the right size I need. But right now, the way these are laid out, I need to right size them in InDesign, which is also doable. How do I do that? Let's do Control or Command Z, Control Z for you guys on a PC, Command Z for us Mac. It goes back to my fingertips. And now, instead of just clicking for it to become humongous, I'm going to click and drag and I make a tiny box. Click and drag and let go. And the entire photo now has been set to fit inside of this tiny frame that I just created for it. That thing is called a frame, that thing that has all those handles. And it's so tiny that it's now a 2.3 by 1.5 inch little frame. So all those pixels have been squished into this size. So when I look at my links, I'm seeing it scaled. It's only 7% of what it could be. But look at what happened. Now I have 979 pixels. Now, let me clarify. This has to do with that conversation that we had. Let me clean this so that I can show a better circle. This number matters, and the thing keeps turning off when I make a drawing. And this number matters, the dimensions in pixels. Here we go. So the pixels that this image has is, let's say 2023 by 1500 pixels, okay? I'm not changing how many pixels it has. I'm squishing them in. Imagine that this is a piece of gum. My dimensions is a piece of gum. I put one piece of gum in my mouth and I chew it. That's how much gum I have, one piece of gum. But if you know how you can make it really tight little gum ball in your mouth? I scrunch it really tiny. That's the same amount of gum, just all tight and compressed. Then if I were to try to set it up in my tongue to blow a bubble, a gum bubble, I don't know if that's a thing, but I used to chew gum and make bubbles when I was a kid. And you know how it gets all thin? It's the same piece of gum, no changes in how many pixels I have, but it's skinny. All those pixels have to like spread everywhere. And this is all those same pixels spread into a big bubble. I'm only putting 72 of all those pixels in each inch of this image. So I have 72 pixels. If I were to divide, that's an inch, there's 72 pixels there. That's an inch, there's 72 pixels there. That's an inch, that's 72 pixels there. I have 31 inches. So I can put only 70, basically, if I divide 2300 by you know, depending on the inches that I have. So if this is supposed to be a 31 inch image, only 72 pixels will fit per inch. If instead I get all those 2000 pixels and I make them be only 2 inches wide, well, most of them have to fit into that. So, you know, if I were to make this be a 1 inch image, or let me see if I can somehow make this be about a 1 inch image. See over there, it says that's 1 inch. Basically, I have almost all those pixels in that 1 inch because I have only 1 inch of image. So all those pixels, 2400 pixels, are in 1 inch. If instead I make this be about, I don't know, yay big, okay, that's my message that the class is over. So that's about yay big, maybe about 7.5 inches. Then I've divided my 2300 pixels. Like if I could actually calculate 2300 divided by 7.5, oh, I can get per inch, I've got 300 pixels in each inch, 300 pixels in each inch, 300 pixels. So if that is 2000 pixels from here to here, the width, or the, you know, the side, the width, not the height, but the width is 2300. Then if I spread them out over 7 inches, I get to put 300 in each inch. Does that make sense? That little description that I just made? I'm gonna approach it a little bit closer up from Photoshop, but basically you are choosing when you make this photo be whatever size you make it. I keep doing Command Z, which is undo. Each time I drop it again, each time I drop it, I'm doing Command Z to drop it in again. And each time I drop it, like literally, and I do need to, because I have another class starting very soon, but let me share my calculator as well. But I just opened my calculator, hold on. I'm sharing the wrong screen. That one plus this one plus this one. InDesign and the calculator. And the computer's doing this for us, but it's basically saying, oh, let me bring up the calculator. It's basically saying I can't have only the calculator or that. If I have 2300 pixels from end to end on the top of this image, and I have to divide them by a 7-pixel image or a 5-inch image, for example, now, then I'm going to get 460, right? So yeah, if I try to make this be 5 pixels, my effective PPI, I guess this is 4.7, is 480. Does that make sense? I'm seeing
That's pixels per inch.
PPI, pixels per inch. How many pixels fit in each inch of my image? Okay, PPI. So
And are we changing the quality of what will be printed?
yeah, so good question. That number ideally is bigger than 300. 300 or bigger. But the smallest it should be for printing purposes is about 250. So that means that if I go back into this one, right, and I tried to make this be at least 260, right? So let's say that that's how big I had made it. So to get that to be the right size, then it can only be this big. And in the design, originally it was much bigger, but that's the only size it can really have for it to work. We're going to revisit this. I do need to close up the class because I have another class coming up and I need to break. But basically, the photos that you place in here, you can just put any photos that you want. But if the effective PPI isn't the right number, you have to replace it, bring another one, or make it smaller because the original design called for this photo was about yay big, I think, or something like that. I'm not sure. I think it was yay big. Yeah, no, it was 202. So it was about yay big. Yay big. Yeah, 202. So that was the design, which looks fine and dandy, but this photo will not print well. And I need to look at this number to go, nope, nope, not good. I need to get a bigger photo, or I need to go, okay, for this design, I need to make do with the photo I have, which means I'm gonna have to make it no bigger than about yay big for it to work. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So we're going to talk more about that, but basically you are changing by making the photo bigger or smaller inside of InDesign, you are fixing that problem, which was that it didn't have enough PPI. Now, could we have done it originally in Photoshop? Yes, we could have, but if it wasn't done originally in Photoshop, then you can still do that in InDesign. All right. Can you guys take one more screenshot of this kind of practice with your links open so that you can have an idea of what's happening, and then explain a little bit of this process? Like you need to place the image and then check in the links panel for the effective PPI. Okay, and I'm going to do that right now. And then we're going to close up the class. Yeah, Barb? Let me put hold on. Let me put the link for the Padlet again, and let me put this in the chat. And I'm sorry that I went so long. We'll cover enlarging and everything. Yeah, just here we go. So I'm gonna say plus Diana, and I'm gonna put in that screenshot. I'm gonna say check on the links, check the effective PPI of the image in the links panel to make sure this photo is, let's call it right sized for this image to print correctly. Okay. And actually at the beginning, place the photo. Go to File, Place to insert a photo into my InDesign document. Click and drag to make it the size you want. And then check the effective PPI. Okay. All right. So you guys, your homework, of course, is to post this, but also your homework is to, maybe in the same document, I don't need, go and find a couple of other photos and give me a full page with 2 or 3 photos of different size and check their PPI and make sure that you make them all be at least 300 effective PPI. And if you place them, it's not good enough, replace them until you can get, do it 2 or 3 times so that you can get comfy with that. Okay?
Diana,
Yes.
I still can't size this photo.
Go ahead and share your screen and I'll help you. And that's it, you guys, after that. Barbara, quick, ask me while she's sharing her screen. What's your question? Christina, meanwhile, share your screen, okay? Barbara, you're muted, so.
Sorry, you don't have the classes on a video to rewatch. Is that correct?
Yeah,
The classes aren't recorded.
I'll put the link in the panel in the same, give me a second, after I'm done with, sure, I'll show you again. If you go to class handouts, you'll see the links available
Okay.
in there for the recordings, but yeah, let me go. Okay, so.
Yeah, I haven't even done that yet. I just,
So, you are in a different document. I don't know where you're in. Are you on a Padlet, on a end? You're in
This is InDesign. So I can do Control V
yeah, but you're in
and get
some,
rid of it.
you're in some weird box. You're not in InDesign. So where, you don't
It
have,
says ID up here.
yeah, but this doesn't look,
Okay, so how do I get rid of this then?
trying to figure out, you're not in our window. You're in a weird window.
You said go to File, Place, and
Yeah.
then it brought that up.
All your tools, everything, go over here. It says touch. What is, go ahead and say cancel. What is that thing that says touch? Yeah, go to your workspace. There we go.
Oh, okay.
These are, I don't know what,
Now go File, Place. Now click on that.
and now click and drag it. There we go. And now you can go to your links panel over here. And then you make this a little bit bigger so you can read. And here you go, your effective PPI.
And now it's saying it's 360. So now you're saying take that and go to,
No. You need to do the shortcut. Yeah, go ahead, make it bigger or smaller. It doesn't seem like you have the whole image here though, but okay. So see how that number is changing? Maybe it's just been stretched. It's okay.
so like that, 300.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Then take an image of this and post it.
Yeah, but select it so that we see the information, because right now the information is
Right.
on. So select this by clicking on it again. Just click on this photo to select it. Good, and now you see all that information, okay? And then do a screenshot of all of that. Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So Barbara, just really quickly, Barbara?
yes.
Really quickly. In the class handouts and in the email I sent today for the class, you can remind yourself, there's a video in the email that I sent this morning. There's always a reminder of what time, here, to connect to our digital sign. I put a link here. Watch this video to show you how to access class recordings if you forgot, because it's been a while. But when you get to the class recordings, that first file, Zoom class recordings, that's the link to last week's class. Today, July 9th, there will be another link in here for this week's class, okay?
Thank you.
And it's not there yet. It'll be there by tonight. Okay? By tonight or tomorrow morning, depends, because it all depends on how long it takes for it to upload and all of that. Save this file, you guys, and we'll talk about, place file practice is what I'm going to call it. And we will continue next week. And the file, the brochure, the template that we've messing around with, Don't save that one. When it says save that one, say no, don't save. We want it to go back to being the default messed up original file that doesn't, that has, you know, nothing of what we messed up with. Okay, so don't place that file. Don't save that file. Just save the new one we just did. And then I guess I'll see you guys, some of you guys in some others of my classes. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on next Wednesday. I'm confused about what day of the week I'm in. Next Wednesday. All right.
Me too.
I know.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.